We are Black Horse. We are Florida.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to St. Louis as this road trip winds down. One more after tonight, an afternoon affair tomorrow. But first, the middle game in this three-game series between the Marlins and the Cardinals at Busch Stadium 3. Always a spectacular atmosphere here in this very historic baseball city. You got the Wizard here as well, and the Riddler, who was certainly on display last night as the Marlins put an end to a 6-game skid with the opener in the winner in this three-game series. Inside the broadcast booth, Paul Severino and Todd Hollinsworth with you. So yes, a nice victory last night where the bats came to life for the Marlins. Jose Urena gets his first win of the season, and they got a couple of home runs, one from JT Riddle and one from Ryan Anderson.
Yeah, how about the young guys getting it done last night? I'll tell you what, I was really impressed with JT Riddle's home run. My goodness gracious, against a lefty going the other way. Great stuff. Think about this. First extended road trip for JT, right? Just kind of settling in. First 2 home runs of the season, and inside the park home run and go Oppo Taco off a lefty. Awesome stuff. Great to see from JT last night.
Yeah, and both of those home runs again on this road trip as well. Another guy having a great road trip, Brian Anderson.
Oh my goodness gracious, I'll tell you, he's been so impressive. And again, so much of the conversation when it comes to Brian really hasn't been about the power, although we saw it last night. Now, this is his first homer in about 30 games, but guess what? The approach has been absolutely outstanding. Multi-hit game, batting average up near 300, hitting over 400 with runners in scoring position. He has been easily the most consistent player for this Marlins ball club over the last month or so.
Absolutely. Again, doing a terrific job as a rookie. Another youngster gets the ball tonight for the St. Louis Cardinals, Jack Flaherty, who's already had a 13 strikeout performance this year. But in his last one, he only went 5 innings.
Yeah, Flaherty, he's got good stuff. Listen, I think he's in this rotation to stay. A lot of good things. Former first rounder a couple of years ago. He's only 22 years old, but he's got some great secondary pitches, a real good slider, and a vicious curveball.
So he goes for the Cardinals, and Wei-Yin Chen is on the mound for the Marlins. His last 2 starts, a couple of starts ago, his longest as a Marlin. Last start, shortest as a Marlin.
Well, and maybe that explains a little bit of the inconsistency that you've seen from Chen. Listen, he's had some bright moments this season, and he's obviously had some other moments that he'd like to take back. Tonight's a great opportunity to get a series win for this ball club. That fastball command is always big, and keep an eye on his slider, a big pitch for him as well.
Yeah, it's the middle game of this 3-game series is, again, the Marlins have a chance to win a series and continue to stay in the win column. It is a Twitter Wednesday, even though we usually do this on Tuesday. We're going to talk about this weekend and anniversary festivities with Jessica Blaylock next. third middle game of a three-game series. Let's go downstairs to Jessica Blaylock.
Hey, Paul, we are just a few days away from the Marlins' 25th anniversary celebration. So to get ready, we are going with a special Wednesday edition of a Twitter and Email Tuesday. We want to know some of your best memories from the past couple of decades of Marlins baseball. So we're going to stick with that hashtag Marlins25. You can send us emails at foxmarlins@gmail.com. Send those tweets to @foxmarlins. And don't forget to use tonight's hashtag Marlins25. And we've got a lot of cool stuff that's coming up at Marlins Park this weekend as part of that 25th anniversary celebration. Here is a look at what you've got coming at you this weekend. Friday, the gates will open at 5:30 p.m. Autograph stations will be set up around the park. There will also be fireworks that night. Then on Saturday, there will be a teal rally towel giveaway and a post-game concert. And then Sunday, that is going to be a full day on top of the series finale between the Marlins and the Padres. There will be an alumni softball game and a 25th anniversary pin giveaway. And just a reminder, Fox Sports Florida will have you covered for all of this weekend's festivities. That includes extended pregame shows. We will also be covering that alumni softball game on Sunday. When we return, Kyle Barraclaw getting his first official save as a closer last night. We will join Craig Minervini and Jeff Nelson in the studio to take a look at that.
Southwest, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By WB Mason, who but WB Mason, the official office supply company of the Miami Marlins. Chevrolet, see your South Florida dealer today. And by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota, let's go places. A nice warm night along the banks of the mighty Mississippi. Marlins and Cardinals, second of a 3-game set. Of course, a former Marlin, Marcell Ozuna, on his way out on the heels of a 3-hit game last night. A 3-hit game that was ultimately a Marlins victory. And here is your Southwest lineup. As Don Mattingly's got Starlin Castro at the top. Derek Dietrich hitting in the number 2 spot. Both of those guys have been hot. It's a 7-game hit streak for Castro. Dietrich has been on a nice run as well. And then, of course, there's Brian Anderson, who's putting together one heck of a rookie campaign, doing it all offensively, defensively as well. And we'll see if he can keep it up tonight against the fellow youngster, Jack Flaherty, who is on the mound tonight, making his 7th start of the season.
Yeah, 2.62 ERA. He's pitched very well at Busch Stadium as well. 2.84 ERA. He's only 22 years old. He's a big guy, 6'4", 205 pounds. Solid numbers across the board. Lefty's hitting 250, righty's hitting 203. Runners in scoring position 286. So maybe a little wiggle room there. Hopefully the Marlins continue to do what they did last night. For Flaherty, he is off to a really good start. Let's go ahead and give you the AutoNation scouting report. Here to stay, and that's part of the Alex Reyes story. Now, Reyes was supposed to take Flaherty's spot in the rotation. He went back to the DL. I personally believe, I think Paul agrees with me, Flaherty's been so impressive that he's probably going to pitch up here at the big league level all season long. Away is the way. This is how he goes about his business. 4-seam fastball, sinker, think away. He will go in at times, but really all this is about is getting to that slider and curveball. That's what his secondary command is all about. Has a couple of top shelf secondary pitches. Wants to throw them a lot. In fact, right-handed hitters, he actually throws the slider more than any other pitch. 69 right-handed hitters have gotten in the box against him. He struck out 23 of them.
Here is a right-handed hitter in the person of Starlin Castro, who digs in as we begin the 2nd game of this 3-game series. And on the first pitch, Castro pops this one up left side. And right along the line, Jairo Munoz makes the play for out number 1.
Maybe the St. Louis Cardinals defensively for tonight's ball game. Familiar face in left field, Marcell Ozuna. Pham gets the start in center, Bader in right. Carpenter, Munoz, Jerko gets the start at second base. Martinez over at first. Molina behind the plate, his 2nd game back from injury. Flaherty on the mound.
A good look there at Mike Matheny, who is in his 7th year as the St. Louis Cardinals manager. And now Derek Dietrich takes a look at ball 1. Dietrich 2 for 3 in last night's ball game. Couple of runs scored, a double, and RBI, hitting .458 on this road trip. They began in San Diego with a stop in Arizona, and now in St. Louis. And it's 1-1.
Dietrich has taken to the 2 spot in the lineup. 822 OPS in the 2nd spot. He's been on quite a tear for some time. He likes it here in St. Louis as well. You mentioned the 2 for 4 effort last night. Oh, excuse me, 2 for 3. He's hitting 7 of his last 8 here at Busch.
Yeah, you can go up and down the lineup tonight and see a bunch of guys that like hitting here. It's a beautiful ballpark. Again, a similar footprint to the previous Busch Stadium. They affectionately call this one Busch Stadium 3. 3rd iteration of the ballpark, opened in 2006. See the iconic gateway arch beyond the right center field wall. Lots of red. People as Dietrich strikes out for the first out of the ball game, or the first strikeout of the ball game rather, for Flaherty. 2 away.
That was the slider, the infamous slider that I just mentioned. He likes to go to it, as I mentioned, especially against the right-handed hitters. He'll throw it early in the count, late in the count. It's how he operates. You got to look at it so you can follow it during tonight's ball game. It's got a lot of movement down in the zone, and again, he uses it as much to the lefties as he does to the righties. There's only a couple of weeks or so ago, as I told you, Flaherty has not been in the big leagues too long. Made a few starts last year, only his 7th start this year. Get this, he pitched against the Philadelphia Phillies back on May 20th. 7 2/3 innings, 13 punch-outs.
only the best start of the season, best start of his young career.
That got JT Realmuto in the back. Painful way to reach base for Realmuto. Had a hit in last night's ball game, and that'll bring up Justin Bohr. Sack fly, all part of the victory last night for the Marlins that again snapped a 6-game losing streak. Bohr last night was over 3. Sack fly, as I mentioned, and a walk, one of 9 walks for the Marlins last night, most that they've had in a game since 2016. They were very patient, and Carlos Martinez, who was fresh off the DL, a little erratic last night. It all led to a series opening victory.
Well, in my opinion, the Marlins played the better game last night. I think a lot of people around here said, well, Carlos Martinez is making his way back. He only went 4 innings. You can talk about the walks. I mean, I got a laundry list of things here that were done better by the Marlins. It was a pretty impressive win against this Cardinals ball club that has been playing better baseball of late.
The 1-1 to Bohr. This is low and in. 2 balls and a strike.
Think about yesterday's ball game. Urania picked Pham off of third base in a pivotal spot in the ball game. Shuck scored on a pop up to short, third, I think, technically. There were a lot of things in last night's ball game where I felt like the Marlins hustled better. They made things happen, and they took advantage of key Cardinal mistakes.
Two balls and 2 strikes to Bohr, who has a hit in 4 of his last 7 games here at Busch Stadium. Holly mentioned the 13 strikeout performance for Flaherty a couple of starts ago, but his last start against Pittsburgh, 4 runs in the 8th inning. The Cardinals scored 4 runs in the 8th inning. They were down 8-5 going into the bottom of the 9th inning, and they had another one of their 7 walk-off wins this year. 5 walk-off home runs. I'm sure you can look at that a couple of different ways. One, they a never say die type of mentality, and 2, they don't put themselves in a great position to win the games early.
Right. Well, that's not something, listen, walk-offs are all fun, but if you're the St. Louis Cardinals and you're hoping this is the year that you get back to the playoffs, that's not what you're resting on. That's not what's going to carry you all the way to the end.
A couple of strikeouts in the first inning for Flaherty. The Marlins leave one on. We'll see Wei-Yin Chen against the Redbirds next. first inning, the middle game of a three-game series between the Marlins and the Cardinals. Let's take a look at the Cardinals starting lineup, presented to you by Southwest. Matt Carpenter, who has been a much different hitter the last 3 weeks or so since the middle of May, will lead things off. Tommy Pham is hitting .266 on the season, but one of those guys that when going right can put an offense on his back. Had a terrific year last year. Some people would say he's one of the better players in all of baseball. And we'll see if Wei-Yin Chen can keep these guys at bay and certainly bounce back from his previous start, which, as we mentioned in the open, was his shortest as a Marlin. This now his 8th start off the DL.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about Chen. I mean, you look at his, it's a mixed bag. His last 2 starts, and one of the best of the season, one of the worst his last time out. Obviously a short start as well. He struggled on the road. 12.21 ERA, 4 starts, .350 batting average against. I mean, there's definitely things that stand out. For me, really, he's got to make his slider count. And what I mean by that is not just merely spotting his fastball on the edges. We talk about that an awful lot when it comes to Chen. But he's got to have a good secondary pitches. Good secondary pitch. The right-handed batters, get these numbers against the slider and curveball against Chen. 556 against this slider and 429 against his curveball. That's got to improve.
Matt Carpenter to lead things off. 3 for 5 in last night's ball game. Again, he was hitting 140 on the 16th of May. All the way up to the 225 that he's at right now. 27 for 77. That's a .351 clip.
161 versus lefties. And you look up and down this Cardinals lineup, and you have hot and cold really against the lefties on the season. We've got a few guys at the bottom of the lineup that Chen will have to be careful of. We'll talk about them when we get there. As you mentioned it, Carpenter, some of his struggles have really shown up against left-handed pitching.
Something of an on-base machine. Walked over 100 times last year as he follows that one back to the screen. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
There's a pretty good look at the numbers. 161 lefties, righty much higher. 238 certainly makes some sense. But again, you talk about some of the other players in this Cardinals lineup. Dexter Fowler not playing tonight, struggling against lefties as well.
Comes a 3-2 pitch from Chen. That's fouled into the seats. He'll see another.
You go back and you look at what Chen has done well this season. When he's at his best, he's really spotting his fastball. And I guess that's what caught my attention in the last couple of days, kind of going back and looking at his story so far this season. 18 of the 24 strikeouts for Chen have actually come on his fastball.
They had him played perfectly with 3 men on the right side of the infield, right at Castro for the first out.
Let's give you the Marlins defensively before tonight's ball game. Dietrich once again in left field. Brinson in center. Late game replacement shot originally in the starting lineup. Anderson in right. Rojas gets the start at third. Riddle, Castro, and Bohr. JT Realmuto behind the plate. Wei-Yin Chen on the mound.
Don Mattingly, a 500 record against the Cardinals as Tommy Pham takes the first pitch in there for a called strike. Well, this is what I was talking about with Tommy Pham. Again, there are 2 ways to look at this. Ranks among the National League leaders in a number of categories, as he is retired right there, including runs and 3-hit games and stolen bases. A dynamic player. Home runs, leads the team with 9. But after that ground out, he is 6 for his last 52, and there are 2 outs on 9 pitches here in the first inning.
You know, I just got a note, Paul, and it's with a heavy heart that I bring this up. Cardinal Hall of Famer and former manager Red Schoendienst has passed away, 95 years old. Just got the news. He has been a regular here at the ballpark essentially his entire life. I had the privilege of meeting him a few years ago, and it is a very sad day and a very heavy heart. 95 years old. He lived a very full life.
This is Jose Martinez. Takes inside, a ball and a strike.
Yeah, the history of baseball as a sport is very difficult to be written without a lot of ties to St. Louis. And anyone, certainly like a Red Shandies, who means a lot to this organization, has their fingerprints on where we are now as a sport, as an industry. It all really goes through this this fine franchise and this fine city as well. So our thoughts and prayers are with his family as Martinez finds a hole on the left side.
Well, a very aggressive Martinez. Boy, he gets that swing started early, that front leg up early as well. Once he gets it down, he is bringing it. He's got a lot of full power, and you kind of see it there. Hits over the top of the baseball, but again, hard enough to get through the left side. 2-out hit here in the bottom of the first.
And now Marcell Ozuna, former Marlin, 3 for 4 last night. Has a 4-game hit streak going, 8 for 14. It's a .571 batting average on this homestand. Takes outside for a ball.
See the career numbers with the Marlins. Very, very productive young player. He's starting to heat up once again.
His 100th career home run over the weekend, and not long after that, a grand slam. So yeah, he has been seeing the ball very well. Had a couple of hits, an exit velocity over 100 miles an hour last night. Comes up empty there, a ball and 2 strikes.
He's hitting .571 on the homestand with a couple of home runs, .325 versus lefties. Certainly know from last year and throughout his Marlins career, when he gets hot, be careful. He can carry a team. So you must be very careful with him tonight for what we saw last night.
And the thing about Chen from his last outing was, after the game, Don Mattingly said it just looked like it wasn't coming out of his hand very well. Lasted only an inning and 2/3, gave him 4 hits, 4 earned runs. This one is chopped to Riddle. Retires Ozuna, but Chen gets through the first by stranding a runner. We are through 1 here in St. Louis. Scoreless. Hollingsworth, Jessica Blaylock as we are scoreless going to the top of the second inning. Brian Anderson will lead things off, then Miguel Rojas and JT Riddle. Another nice night for Anderson last night as he'll face Jack Flaherty here in inning number 2. Flaherty worked around a 2-out hit by pitch in the first inning, got a couple of strikeouts, and now works to 5, 6, and 7 of the Marlins lineup here in inning number 2. First pitch in there for a called strike to Anderson, who had a home run in last night's ball game. 3 for 5, drove in 3 runs. The home run ended a 31-game homerless drought. That off.
Right off the instep. He's having a hard time getting up. Let's hope that caught more shin guard than anything. See that front foot down. Yep, right off the top. Looks like he's going to be okay. Back on his feet.
Yeah, he looks like he has like a little bit of an ankle flap, if you will, whereas Carlos Villanueva, or Christian Villanueva rather, when we were in San Diego, fouled one off his ankle. He did that a couple of times, even the other day. And like with Villanueva, it hit right below the guard. Hopefully for Anderson, that got, as Huntley said, most of the guard.
You see the 1-2 count. Anderson has been one of the best in baseball, not just with the rookies, hitting .300 when he's actually behind in the count.
Swung on and missed. That's 3 strikeouts for Flaherty, and 1 away here in the second.
Take a trip to 1993 as the Marlins celebrate their 25th anniversary. Join us the weekend of June 8th through the 10th with some of your favorite World Series champs, throwback moments, giveaways, and much more. Rep your teal. Marlins take on the Padres in our throwback jerseys. Visit marlins.com/25.
It's going to be a fun weekend. It's going to be Saturday. There is an on-field ceremony. Some of the greats in franchise history going to be in town. We'll actually have guests on the broadcast Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Again, the on-field ceremony before the game on Saturday. Sunday, a softball game that Mr. Hollingsworth is going to be in, along with many others, as Rojas bunts one foul down the third baseline. And you are yet to make any promises that you are going to take it easy on the competition. You are out there hunting. You are going to win this thing. No.
Somebody's got to win.
Competitive juices are flying.
Well, somebody's got to win this game. Listen, you got to rep your teal first of all, so bring it. Right. I mean, for crying out loud. And listen, I got a leg up on the '97 crew. They're old. So there you go. Yeah, that's right. And then you got the '93 crew. How about that? Or even older.
We keep telling you to rep your teal at the ballpark, so you can go out and grab.
It's my teal. I'm repping it. What do you think?
I think it's terrific. Look
Pretty
on the
sweet,
back,
right?
By the way.
These are our softball jerseys. So this is the real deal here.
I picked that up. I picked that up, and it's so heavy because you have so many letters in your name.
Try to get my letters worth.
That's right. It's pronounced Hollingsworth. But by the way, you can grab one of these if they're still on the shelves. I'm told they're flying off the shelves.
Hot commodity.
Right now.
I'm telling you, the
Absolutely.
teal is he's got South Florida buzzing right now. There's no doubt about it.
So see Robin at the Marlins store. Hopefully, as I said, hopefully you can get your hands on this. If our producer hasn't bought them all already, I'm not quite sure. But yeah, these are cool. These are great.
Well, and you need to check these out. This is the game jersey. So, I mean, this is what I will be wearing on Sunday. So I am looking forward to this. I'm really hoping that it plays into the booth. I'm thinking about wearing it all game long and then bringing it up here and doing the game on Sunday. It's going to be a lot of fun to have everybody back. I'm really excited about it. Everybody is kind of, you get this sense of emotion kind of building towards this. So it's going to be a fantastic weekend. Marlins fans, come out and join the celebration. It's going to be a big, big deal. So many guys coming out.
And again, if you, for some reason, cannot make it out to the ballpark, we have extended coverage on Fox Sports Florida as that one is booted at shortstop by Munoz, and Rojas will reach with one out.
Well, first error tonight, I'm assuming. Third error in the series. The St. Louis defense has not been good. Third most errors in baseball, now 44.
What was kind of funky about that one is almost like it took the big hop and jumped on him quick. But either way, Rojas is aboard with one out. And now it's JT Riddle, who hit a home run in last night's ball game. 2 for 4, a run scored with that homer. Now has 3 runs scored on the road trip. 2 home runs, including that inside the park homer that he had in San Diego, which was his first hit of the season. Slowly but surely, as the overall average is at 242, 320 on this road trip. Flaherty waits, delivers the 1-0, and this one is sent out to Ozuna in left. Moved a step to his left for out number 2.
Sweet swing from Riddle. I know it results in an out. Back to last night's home run. He has got his thing going. He is seeing the baseball really well away and staying on it. Another pretty swing right there.
So 1 on and 2 out for Lewis Brinson, who did not start last night's ball game, but came in as a pinch hitter late. Seven home runs this season, tied for 4th among rookies. Mentioned the fact that he did not start in last night's ball game. That was something Don Mattingly said when we were in Arizona when Brinson got the day off. And Brinson, again, despite the struggles, has been in the lineup just about every day. And so when he's not in the lineup, you wonder what's going on. And talked to Don Mattingly, and he said he's going to get periodic days off. So yesterday was one of those days. Back in the lineup today. Chops this one foul, 0-1.
Yeah, it sounds like they're going to assess the matchups and you know, maybe play some of the numbers a little bit more, which is, you know, again, more of a modern thought in today's game. We see this all around baseball. There's a lot of players that fall into this category where, you know, and usually it kind of goes into that lefty-righty thing, especially with the lefties. A tough lefty on the mound, he may not get the start that day. You put a right-handed lineup out there. In fact, most teams have righty and lefty lineups. But again, there's certain players that you kind of protect maybe, you know, against some of those matchups. I'll tell you right now, Brinson heats up, it'll stop. So, I mean, it's as simple as that. Just doing everything in their power to get him going consistently. And consistently being the key word.
Just a heads up, coming up in the bottom of the 2nd inning, Jay Randolph, the original voice of the Florida Marlins here in St. Louis, will join Jessica Blaylock coming up in the bottom half of this inning, as we get a little jump start on anniversary weekend. Here comes the 0-1. Mentioned that 13 strikeout performance for Flaherty. That was his first career big league win. It's on the 20th of May, a couple of starts ago against the Philadelphia Phillies. He has 3 strikeouts through an inning and 2/3 here tonight. He's ahead, no balls and 2 strikes to Brinson. Missed that one, then they count a ball and 2 strikes.
You know, that day, he actually, and we don't say this too often, I knew that the St. Louis Cardinals bullpen, he actually threw 120 pitches in that ball game, which I still think is pretty amazing. Now, he's not shown any signs of throwing 120 pitches at a ball game, if that's where you're going with it, but I just thought it was interesting. We don't typically see that with the young phenoms. He's only 22 years old.
And Brinson with a base hit through the left side. Rojas is headed toward third. He'll test the arm of Ozuna. And nobody was home at third. In there safely is Rojas, and over to second goes Brinson.
Yeah, great base running all the way around. I love it. Yeah, Rojas certainly understands why he could push the gas pedal around second base. Everybody was out of position. Well, let's stay with the hit first. Great swing by Brinson. Hanging curveball, inside part. Kind of see it spin out of his hand, stay up in the zone. Nice job, hits it hard. Watch. Everybody ends up out of place. Ozuna comes up ready to fire the baseball, but you got third baseman off towards the 5-5 hole over there. The shortstop's kind of wheeled around. Rojas doesn't stop. He knows that Marcel's got to make a throw and a tag, and it's all got to be in one motion.
So now two in scoring position for Wei-Yin Chen, who swings and misses 0-1. Now, how much of that for Rojas is A, just overall good baseball IQ, B, kind of anticipating and looking at where the players are at the moment, and C, knowing Ozuna for so long?
No, I don't think it's Ozuna. Ozuna's not the read right there. Carpenter's the read. It's all instinctual. It's impressive. It's a good read. Saw the third baseman was out of position.
But he will be left aboard as Chen grounds out. We'll hear from Jay Randolph when we come back.
Passion, the Marlins, Major League Baseball for Florida. They embark on baseball history today. Here's Offerman and the first pitch from Charlie Huff. Strike on the inside corner.
That's the way to start a ball game.
And I am joined by the man that made that historic call for the Florida Marlins, the first ever television voice of the Florida Marlins, Jay Randolph. Jay, you were there from day one. You were there for the very beginning of the Marlins franchise. What do you remember about that first game where Charlie Huff was on the mound?
Well, as always, I remember the fans. They turned out, and Charlie and I played a little golf together once in a while when we weren't playing around with baseball, but it was marvelous. If I remember, Charlie, I think, went 6 innings. He dazzled them with that knuckler of his, and it was a win for the Marlins. And the start of a remarkable run, drew over 3 million people that first season, and would win a World Series in 3 years. And I just remember how much fun it was and how thrilled I was to be a part of it. I'm grateful to the late Wayne Huizinga and all the gang that decided to give me a shot after doing Cardinal baseball for so many years and losing the contract here to another station. But I shall remember the 9 years that I had with the Marlins. Very strong memories of a wonderful period of time.
You mentioned covering the Cardinals. That's obviously a franchise that had a lot of history. What was it like covering a franchise that was just getting started?
Well, I didn't know what to expect. I don't think a great many people did. We were hopeful that it was going to go well, and of course, we win a World Series in 3 years, faster than any expansion team in history. The great Hispanic fans in the area. Overall, the people were wonderful in South Florida, and for that matter, almost all over the state. And the players, it was a great group of guys. I think of people like Bobby Bonilla and Walt Weiss, and we get to the World Series, Levon Hernandez and my good friend Jeff Conine, all those fellows that were involved. It was magical, really was.
Are there a couple of magical moments that really stand out to you when you look back over Marlins baseball?
Well, that first pitch that Charlie threw was magical, and that first win was magical. And there were many, many times when, you know, in third year, as we're battling to try and win the World Series, I mean, it would be hard for me to pick any one thing out except to say that this was a bunch of guys that dug deep, played hard, and they got the job done, doggone it. It was amazing.
Jay, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it. Paul, Todd, so much fun catching up with Jay Randolph.
Thank you very much. As Jed Jerko sends one out to center field, it's over the head of Lewis Brinson. And Jerko into second base with a hard hit double. That one just kept carrying.
Now, no surprise, Jerko, lefty killer, 409 batting average against, got 3 home runs against the lefties as well in there for that purpose. Drives it off the center field wall. Brinson turned around. This ball was hit very, very hard, Paul. You're right. Would not have been an easy catch either way. First runner in scoring position. The Cardinals tonight.
Off the bat at 103 miles an hour, carries to the wall in center field, and now the Cardinals have a runner in scoring position for their young rookie standouts, Harrison Bader. Another one of those guys who hits lefties very well,
right.
So no surprise to see him in the lineup.
Well, and it's this part of the lineup that could kind of trick you a little bit if you're not planning properly. You look at the top of the lineup, I mean, Carpenter and Pham, those are, you know, household names that are traditionally at the top of the Cardinal lineup, but you look at the extension and, you know, the right-handed bats that are in there, and the damage that the bottom half of this lineup has done against lefties is something you've got to take note of.
Jen got the strikeout of Molina, his first strikeout of the night and first out of this inning, and then gave up the double to Jerko. Now it'll be an 0-2 pitch to Bader, which misses inside, a ball and 2 strikes. You can see those, they look like mini birds, frankly, but they are moths flying around. And I heard a report that apparently the midges were back in Cleveland last night.
That's that time of year in the Midwest.
Excuse me, swing. Rojas for out number 2.
Yeah, spring has sprung. It's turned into summertime here rather rapidly. Game time temperature here in St. Louis nearly 90 degrees.
That's Jessica Blaylock trying to just survive somehow, some way. Doesn't seem grossed out by it at all, which is great. Got her visitor badge on the clipboard. Really terrific. They have intentionally walked Jairo Munoz, and that will set up a force anywhere for the pitcher, Jack Flaherty. Rojas is even with the bag at third. Rest of the infield is back. 2 on, 2 out. was a walk to the pitcher in his last start that kind of led to a bit of a derailing of that second inning, of which he did not complete in San Diego. Again, the inning in 2/3. Said afterwards that he didn't feel bad, despite what those who watched him pitch kind of saw, that the ball wasn't coming out. Said, I didn't feel bad other than walking the pitcher. I felt okay.
Well, he backed himself into a corner. Real simple.
Yeah.
You walk the pitcher on 4 pitches. You walk the leadoff hitter to follow, and all of a sudden you found yourself facing Villanueva once again, who'd already homered against you with the bases loaded. Don Mattingly said, enough. This is going to stop right here. Marlins were trying to get a win. Lost a few games in a row, and Chen was clearly struggling. I think that was easily the right decision. He'd already given up a home run to Villanueva in the game. It felt like a month ago. Same road trip, right?
I believe so, yeah. I kind of lost track.
I feel like we've been on the road for ever.
I think it was that 3-game homestand that really tricked everybody, because you're still kind of living out of a suitcase. I don't know about you. I went home, did laundry, it all went right back in the suitcase. A couple days later, boom, back on the road.
Right.
That one's tapped foul. In that start, Odrisamer Despaigne came on in relief of Chen. Earlier today, Despaigne sent down to AAA. And Ben Meyer called up. When he gets his first action, it will be his major league debut. There he is. It's all smiles now, but if he's human, I'm sure that the jitters will begin as they say, get him up. This one chopped to third. A big hop for Rojas. May have hit the lip, but good hands by Miggy. And we are through 2 here in St. Louis. Sports.
I mean, it was like a Cinderella story, really, because they didn't win the league. They came in as a what's it called? A wild card, right? Yeah, they came in wild card every single year that they won.
I think both times.
Yeah.
I think both times we were wild card. You're right.
Yeah.
That '97 team was pretty dope.
Tales from the chair. Hugo Juice Tendron and sitting down with Gabby Sanchez. I'm sure Gabby's a good tipper. But yeah, we'll see plenty more of that again this weekend. Anniversary weekend coming up when this road trip comes to an end officially after the last pitch of tomorrow's game here in St. Louis. And it's back home for 3 against the San Diego Padres.
Hey, Marlins fans, now you can stream games live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go, presented by T-Mobile. Download the app, take Fox Sports Florida and Marlins baseball wherever you go.
Back for the top of the 3rd here at Busch Stadium. Middle game of 3. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth, Jessica Blaylock. Glad that you're with us. As Jack Flaherty will face the top third of the Marlins order, Starlin Castro, Derek Dietrich, and JT Realmuto. Castro offered at the first pitch, popped it up down the left field line and into the glove of Jairo Munoz for the first out of the night. 33 pitches later, he will face Flaherty here to lead off the third.
Picked up all 3 of his strikeouts. First time through on the breaking ball. We'll see what he does this time. Starlin Castro's done a nice job out of the leadoff spot coming into tonight's ball game. 294, 368 on base percentage. When he's leading off an inning, he's well above 400.
Well, he's been leading off the first inning as of late, last week or so. And he has been producing, as you can see at the top of that lineup. A little bit of pop, is homered on the trip. 9 for 31 during that 7-game hit streak. Couple of doubles, the home run. Now a 1-2 pitch as Molina sets up outside. Flaherty hits the spot, but just a little bit too far out. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, this is meant as certainly no disrespect to the Marlins catcher, JT Realmuto, who, if you've watched a game or the 40 that he's been in, we've certainly talked him up, as Castro now has an 8-game hit streak. Again, meant as no disrespect to JT Realmuto, but what a treat it must be for a young pitcher like Flaherty to be able to work with Yadier Molina behind the plate. I mean, you could probably count on one hand over the course of a year the amount of times that a pitcher will shake off Yadier Molina. The way that he sees the game, calls the game behind the plate, it's something that there is not much of in the game right now.
Well, I think it would be fair to say that you would not. I don't think many of the young Cardinal pitchers really think for themselves until about years number 2 or 3.
Yeah.
You get called up, whatever he puts down, you do. I don't think there's any debate, right? You just follow along. He gives you the script and try to do what he calls. I think it's as simple as that. Now maybe you get into your 2nd or 3rd year, you say, hey, you know, maybe can I add a little bit to this?
And then he then says no.
Well,
trust me. I'm kidding.
Maybe, but yeah, you're right.
Dietrich with a drive out to right field. Bader is back. He's at the wall, and that one is into the bullpen. A home run for Derek Dietrich.
Stay hot. My goodness gracious, he is scorching hot right now. 2 for 4 last night. He is on everything. I said it in the pregame show. A couple of good conversations with Derek today. It's as simple as this. He's been hot. I said, what's been the key? He says, I don't miss my pitch anymore. It's as simple as that. I'm not fouling balls off. When a mistake is made, I'm doing damage.
For the home run for Dietrich, his 7th. And it gives the Marlins a 2-0 lead. First pitch to JT is outside.
And that is his happy spot. That is so funny. You know what I'm talking about? You remember when I was telling you pregame today about where Dietrich loves the baseball?
Yeah.
That's it right there. You saw it hit right in that outer third. Right about thigh high or even low. I said it's the one spot in the zone that makes him so unique. Dietrich has done a fantastic job of training himself to handle the pitch away both at the thigh and down. It is a tough pitch for most lefties. They don't like it there. He actually is really good at it. It's his 2nd highest exit velocity spot in his hitting zone.
And now Realmuto lines one of the gap in right center field. That will get down, cut off by Bader. And here comes the throw to second. A sliding double for Realmuto.
It's like what you like to see. Back to back to back base hits. Beautiful swing from JT, front foot down. Good extension, driving it into right center field. Despite cutting it off, Bader no shot at throwing the speedy JT out at second base.
So a nice inning. The leadoff single by Castro, the home run, the double. And now with a runner at second, here's Justin Bour. Bour struck out back in the first inning. The second of 3 strikeouts for Flaherty.
So you ready for this, Paul?
Yes I am. I had to think about it, but yes.
All right, so Flaherty's been good. We told you about his breaking ball, curveball, and slider. And he loves to throw it. He's given up until coming into tonight's ball game. He'd given up 1 hit to a left-handed hitter on his slider. It was a home run, but only 1 hit. Well, now he's given up 2 on the slider, and both hits are home runs.
You mentioned that low and away quadrant for Dietrich.
It's amazing.
That's as we talked about before the game, that's like the safety zone. There's
right.
the happy zone low and in for lefties usually, and then there's the safety zone for pretty much any pitcher. That's usually low and away.
They say, hey, listen, Greg Maddux made a living at it. Went all the way to the Hall of Fame, getting lefties out on that outside corner, down, low and away. Ground ball heaven over there. Well, Dietrich's really practiced and really trained himself well at handling that pitch. As I said, may not be the highest batting average that he maintains, but he hits the ball as hard in that zone as any other. Showing you what he did right there. In fact, went down and got it.
So he gives Wei Yin Chen and the Marlins a 2-0 lead, and now looking for more with the runner on second and still nobody out. Bour doesn't chase, 3-2.
That's a great take. It's exactly what Flaherty is looking for. He wants to get the lefties, the righties chasing that slider down, starts in the zone and makes its way out across his home plate.
Molina sets up low right down the middle, and that's about where Flaherty got that pitch, but Bour fouls it away. And another 3-2 pitch on the way. Right back up the middle off Flaherty. Munoz to throw to first, not in time. And immediately, training staff, pitching coach Mike Maddux and Mike Matheny, the manager, out to check on Flaherty.
Now, what a quality at bat by the big guy, JB. My goodness gracious. I knew that he wasn't going to go back to the slider too many more times. JB was doing a fantastic job of not only fighting it off, but laying off of it when it was down out of the zone. Earned the fastball away. We know he loves to get his arms extended. And this rocket right off the backside of Flaherty. This is what about 100+ off the bat, off your hiney looks like. .5 miles an hour off the left buttocks.
Who are you, Forrest Gump?
That's what it is.
That's right. There's flying by the seat of your pants, and then there's it flying off the seat of your pants.
He didn't even have a chance to defend himself.
I think spinning the way he spun was the best thing that he could have done. So now first and third for Brian Anderson, up with runners in scoring position, and boy does he thrive in situations like these. Right off of Flaherty again. Now the throw goes to second. Here comes Real Muto. Play at the plate. Not in time.
How about you? How about some more great base running? Yes, sirree. And we've seen, I'll call it a little mini clinic over the first 2 games of this series. Great job, JT Real Muto from third base. Flaherty to commit, throw to second. That's where the longer throw is. As JT sees the throw, the attempt at turning 2, JT takes off, able to get that hand in. Nice slide to the outside.
And a 3-0 lead for the Marlins. Still not done with 1 on and 1 out. Here's Miguel Rojas, who reached on an error. I mean, other than bluff the throw to second, which you wouldn't do, you got to get an out somewhere. Is there anything the Cardinals could have done differently there?
No. He just kind of really stared down JT at third base and maybe gone to 1, but any chance of 2 would have been out the window. That's the whole point. So he tried to get 2 outs and hold a runner. JT, fantastic job. The best part about that is once you see the throw. Now, if that throw goes to first, it would have been a much bigger risk on JT Real Muto's part. But because that throw went to second, you see how much longer the throw becomes from second to home. Great read.
And Real Muto using his speed, among the fastest catchers, if not the fastest catcher in baseball. Scores the 3rd run of the inning. Pitch to Rojas is low, says the home plate umpire Pat Holberg. Joe West is at first tonight. Chad Fairchild at second. Doug Eddings over at third. Another friendly reminder, it is a Twitter Wednesday. No, we didn't forget the days of the week. It was a nationally televised game on FS1 last night, but the subject matter, Marlins 25. That's the hashtag, so keep the emails and tweets coming. Strike to Rojas, 1-1. On the ground to short. Munoz to Jerko. And over to first base. Rojas is doubled up. But 3 runs come across. 2 on the homer by Dietrich to the bottom of the 3rd. of the Miami Marlins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Glad you're with us. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth, Jessica Blaylock here in St. Louis. Last stop on this 3-city road trip. Back home for the Padres, and our first look in 2018 is the San Francisco Giants. A 7-game homestand that starts on Friday night. So begins the 3-day anniversary weekend as the Marlins celebrate 25 years. There's the 0-1 Matt Carpenter. Takes down low. Carpenter grounded out to Starlin Castro back in the first inning. Had a hit in last night's ball game, which snapped an 0 for 14. But as we noted before, you could go back to the middle of May when he was hitting 140 on May 15th. You know, a guy who's typically been extremely consistent in his career, a 3-time All-Star. He's won a Silver Slugger. Give a lot of credit to Carlos Beltran on the mentality of getting out of slumps. He said if you're healthy and you have a track record, getting through a slump is all mental. And what Beltran told him, after Beltran of course played here for a little while, he said he never panicked, he never worried when he scuffled, and if you know who you are as a player, you put in the work, you know where you're going to end up. And I guess that's the benefit of having had a few years in the big leagues, knowing that, you know, you can be a 280, 300, 320, whatever the number might be, hitter, and that if things are going not so great and you're hitting in the 140 range for a month or so, you just keep grinding, you'll break out of it, as he sends this one out to left center field, and a leaping catch by Brinson for the first out. Time now for this Rocket Mortgage breakdown as we take a closer look at Tommy Pham, his career against the Marlins. Right about a 300 hitter, 17 hits, 3 homers, and 14 RBIs. He is 0 for 1 tonight with the ground out.
Well, you mentioned his number over the last 2 weeks or so. It's let Tommy Pham heat up against somebody else. He is that kind of player. You mentioned it. Certainly a lot of people around the game recognize his talent level. Certainly the impact he has on the game. Steal a base for you, doubles, triples, homers, good defense, can do a lot of things out there. But when he is down, that's how baseball players talk. They're like, yeah, let Tommy Pham heat up against whoever they play next.
Right.
Let's not find out if he can get out of a slump against us.
So he's slumping now. Carpenter had been slumping. And again, I mentioned the advice from Beltran. You know, you have a few years under your belt. Did you notice when you scuffled as a rookie or a second-year player that your mentality, a hot shot, Riddle in and out of the glove in the hand, and Pham will reach with one away.
Oh, Pham barrels this up, a rocket one hopper off the glove of JT Riddle. Nice job trying to get in position. It actually climbed up his arm. We've seen a couple of bad hops to the left side of the infield tonight. One for Rojas, now one for Riddle. As that kind of ends up a little higher than he thought. It's going to go as a hit. Certainly was hit hard.
Marcelo Zuna. So anyway, the question was, did you find that your mentality during a slump changed in your first couple of years compared to your 5th, 6th, 7th year? In terms of, you know.
Well, there's no doubt. There's an incredible amount of anxiety that as a young player you fear when you slump.
Martinez down the left field line, and playing it off the wall is Dietrich. Tommy Pham comes around third. He'll score on the double. And the Cardinals down 3-1.
Well, St. Louis responds in the third. We mentioned the consecutive hits for the Marlins in the top of the inning. Back-to-back hits for the Cardinals in the Bottom of the inning. Martinez does this as well as any big guy in the game. Pulls those hands in, able to make his long swing a little bit shorter. March fan, he knows Dietrich is not going to make the catch. He is off to the races. That speed that I was just telling you about on display. You don't run the cutoff and throw perfectly, you don't even have a play, which is what happened.
Here is Marcell Ozuna with the runner on second base and 1 out and 1 in.
Yeah, to quickly answer your question in regards to the slumps, most definitely. Younger players absolutely feel them so differently because I think that you think the end game could be different for you. No matter how much success you have when you're in your first couple of seasons, you always think maybe you could get sent down again. No matter what you've accomplished, you always fear that. In fact, I can speak to it. I actually got sent down in '97 after winning the National League Rookie of the Year just for a short period of time. I was struggling big time. And it helped. I went down, got my act together, and came back up. But, if you keep that in the back of your mind, you're in a position where you're maybe putting a little bit too much pressure on yourself.
Two balls and a strike to Ozuna. Grounded out to end the first inning. He struck out twice in his last 15 games. He struck out 40 times in his first 39 games. So you pair that with the home run swing and the increased exit velocity. This is one of the reasons why the Cardinals gave up so much to the Marlins to get Ozuna this past offseason. They had a middle of the road production out in left field last year. Team that is certainly loaded for bear in the National League Central here in 2018 as that one is roped into the seats. Yeah, they're not playing best baseball. They're playing better baseball right now. They're a couple of games under 500 their last 22 games, but they didn't have Molina until last night after about a month. They didn't have Carlos Martinez. They don't have Adam Wainwright. Not a 100% healthy team, but you get the sense that at the end of the day they'll still be in the mix when it comes to the Central or the wild card. Fouled straight back.
Yeah, I think Cardinals fans would tell you they're surviving right now. They're not out in front. They're not the favorite in the division, but they're keeping themselves relevant. And that's really what it comes down to. You look at who they are defensively. You look at some of their shortcomings, the bullpen issues that they've had, and look at the standings. I think 32 and 26. It really is a feather in their cap when you add up a lot of what we know. Bullpen has been in the lower third of Major League Baseball defensively. 44 errors on the season.
Ozuna out to right field. Anderson back on the track makes the catch. Put a charge into that one, but a loud out.
The next all-you-can-eat Saturday is June 9th when the Marlins take on the Padres. Starting at just $30, you get a ticket to the game, unlimited Nathan's hot dogs, popcorn, peanuts, nachos, Pepsi soft drinks, or Aquafina water. Purchase your tickets for all-you-can-eat Saturdays at marlins.com/AYCE.
Here's Yadi Molina. I think the other thing too is looking at the schedule right now. If you were to ask anyone with the St. Louis Cardinals, they'd tell you now is the time that they would like to get back on track. They've obviously got the Marlins in town for 3, then they're off to Cincinnati, back home for the San Diego Padres. So those 3 teams all in last place. Quote unquote games you are supposed to win. Marlins obviously last night don't want to hear any of that as they took the opener of this 3-game set and currently have a lead here in the bottom of the 3rd. Bat out, pokes it down the right field line, 0-2.
I've seen a few of these right-handed hitters. They're a little confused on the changeup, not picking it up from Chen away. It's been a very valuable pitch for him. We talk about the secondary pitches and Chen going up against the right-handed hitters. If he doesn't have them, he becomes a one-pitch pitcher. He can get himself into some trouble. He's got that changeup working, hopefully the slider as well. Pick up a few outs on the outside part of the plate.
Weak contact to third, Rojas. A run comes in the inning, but the Marlins have a 2-run cushion through 3.
Tuesday, and tonight we are going with that hashtag Marlins25 because the Marlins have their 25th anniversary celebration coming up this weekend. How about this tweet from Josh? He and his twin brothers have been fans of the Marlins since 1993. They are also proud season ticket holders for the past 3 years. Let's go, just getting started. Hashtag Marlins25. Keep those tweets and emails coming. Tweets can go to @FoxMarlins. Your emails can go to foxmarlins@gmail.com.
Jessica, we appreciate it. Actually got one for the group a little while ago. This one's from Mike. Hey guys, wondering if Jessica, Craig, Todd, and/or Paul will be doing any autographs or selfies this weekend. That would be awesome. Please let me know. Well, there will be player selfie and autograph stations. I, as you probably know, Holly, always carry around 17 boxes of headshots in the back of my car that are all signed, just in case. So lifted out to left center field, and Riddle is retired. But no, in all seriousness, if you get to the ballpark this weekend,
you'll be handing out autographed mugshot.
Mugshots, yes.
Oh, I'm just messing.
No, there will be the station.
I think everybody's available. Listen, everybody's well aware that. Listen, there'll be so many players back. Where's my list here? Sorry. Here we go. And to find it, listen to these names. I mean, it's going to be impressive. Livan Hernandez is coming back. We got Mike Jacobs, Charles Johnson, Mike Lowell, Luis Castillo, Cliff Floyd, Alex Fernandez, Orestes Estrada. Niners going to be back. Marlins fans, Ed Lucas, Carl Pavano, Juan Pierre, Placido Polanco. I mean, Gabby Sanchez, Benito Santiago, Preston's going to be back. I mean, it's fantastic. This is a huge, huge weekend.
And we have a few of those guests planned to come up to the booth throughout that 3-game series. We will also have some of them available. Craig Minervini will be interviewing them from one of the suites. Somebody from the pregame show as well will be. I mean, we will, if you cannot get to the ballpark, put it this way, we hope that you can, but if for some reason you cannot get to the ballpark, we will do our best to bring the experience to you as Brinson strikes out for the second out.
One thing I promise is this, and Paul, you know this, we've talked about this before. Baseball players have this incredible memory. They're, the things they remember most, their careers, their moments, things like this. This weekend where everybody's in the same room, I mean, there's going to be stories, there's going to be memories, there's going to be Do you remember that 2-2 pitch you threw to Jorge Posada, you know, in Game 6? You know, whatever. I mean, that stuff's going to be all over the place, and the fans get to be a part of it. I think it's going to be just an incredible weekend.
Our pleasure to talk to Jay Randolph a little earlier, the original TV voice of the Marlins back in 1993. Ball and a strike to Wei-In Chen. Last game of the road trip tomorrow. Craig Minervini, Jeff Nelson, the South Florida Honda Dealers Marlins Live pregame show on the air at 12:30 Eastern Time. First pitch a little after 1 o'clock. To Chen is in there for a called strike 3. A couple of strikeouts for Flaherty. He's got 5 through 4. But it's the Marlins with a 2-run lead.
Jeff, we are selecting Connor Scott. Connor Scott, center fielder. Plant High School.
Right.
Got it?
Received. Thank you.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Let's do it.
The first-year player draft has come and gone, and the first-year player draft with the new ownership group, new front office, and the first pick, Connor Scott, out of Plant High School in Tampa, Florida. 13th overall pick, 6'4", 180. And Scott, terrifically athletic. And really the plan, from what we had heard, and again, I'm not in the room, but the plan was, as it has been with acquiring the talent that they have acquired through trades, it's stay up the middle, acquire some pitchers, and that's how Gary Denbo and his staff attacked this first-year player draft. In fact, we will talk with Gary Denbo tomorrow during the series finale here against the St. Louis Cardinals. It's been a long few days for them, and not really just a few days. It's a long few days of actually making picks, but the work that goes into preparing for the draft is quite intensive. So they are they're in a nice little coma right now, relaxing, but they will be back at it tomorrow. And again, we will talk with Gary Denbo at some point tomorrow. We'll get the inning hammered down for you, but he's the VP of player development and scouting, and looking forward to that. So lots of tools in the tool chest. Jed Jerko rips one foul down the left field line.
through the top 10 picks for the Miami Marlins in the draft. And you're absolutely right. They kind of stayed true to the identity that they let us all believe that they were going to be or work towards, and not underscore the importance enough about hitting on these draft picks. I mean, it's going to be absolutely vital moving forward. Again, a lot of these answers, fans, everybody gets worked up. People ask me my opinion. It's hard to give one, really, because you're talking about young players who have succeeded and done very, very well in other places. College ball, high school ball. Players profile well. They look like they're going to be good. And again, you got to get into the system. You've got to understand the system. You've got to excel and get yourself to the big leagues. So there you go. There's another good look at them. I mean, you got some outfielders in there. You've got some middle infielders. You've got some right-handed pitchers. Time will tell.
Jerko out to right field. Anderson calls it, makes the catch for the first out. Well, Andre Fernandez of the Miami Herald tweeted this earlier this afternoon. This is the breakdown by position. 41 picks in the draft, 25 pitchers, 23 college pitchers, 7 outfielders, including the first rounder Connor Scott, third rounder Tristan Pompey, 4 catchers, 4 shortstops, and 1 third baseman. So again, it's that middle of the diamond thought process of the catchers, of the pitchers, of the center fielders, the shortstops, the center fielders. And then, as we have heard about, whether it's Brinson or Sierra or Monte Harrison, the guys that they have acquired that have, made the bulk of the headlines. If it works out at that position, great. If not, there's kind of room to move, whether it's a corner outfield, corner infield spot. So stay to the middle of the diamond, and that's kind of the game plan that they utilized in the draft.
Athletes, yeah, athletes can move around, and that's, there's a lot of flexibility. You and I have talked about it an awful lot, what's going on in the game of baseball early on this season. What we see around the game is that athleticism.
Harrison Bader with a line drive to the right center field gap. That's going to fall in, and Brinson will play it off the wall. Speaking of young talent, Bader and with a double.
FPL is proud to support our first responders in good weather and bad. See how at FPL.com.
Second double of the season for Harrison Bader. Put it this way, that was hit on such a frozen rope that if Brinson couldn't get to it, it was getting in for a double. So he's in scoring position for Jairo Munoz.
Munoz, an intentional walk, his first time up.
Munoz getting the bulk of the playing time right now at shortstop, as Paul DeYoung on the 10-day disabled list right now, expected to miss 4 to 8 weeks. It was about a week or so ago, but the initial diagnosis was that he'd miss 4 to 8 weeks. Surgery to insert screws, metal plate into his fractured left hand. So Munoz making the most of his opportunities with a batting average a little under 300.
That's right. Since his recall, he has done nothing but hit. 267 on the homestand, but since that recall, 372.
To pitch from Chen is fouled away. Chen has the 1 strikeout tonight. He got Molina to start the second inning. He surrendered 5 walks, or 5 hits rather, and the 1 walk. Dirt before home plate, and up to third goes Bader. Not a lot Realmuto could have done with that one.
No, but Bader ready to roll. As soon as he saw the ball down, he was off. He was already making his way to third base there, so JT really no shot to do anything with that as a catcher. Good base runners are taught, as soon as you see that ball down in the dirt, unless the catcher picks it clean, even a slow base runner is more than likely going to get that extra base if he's ready to take it.
Ball and 2 strikes. Did he go? They'll check. Joe West says no. Yeah, I mean, Real Muto got a lot of his body on it, but so far out in front that he couldn't really smother it too much. Bader on at third now. 2-2 count, 1 out. Infield in for this 2-2 pitch.
Now, so far tonight, Chen continues to wiggle and not wobble. That's been the big difference. He's had moments, base runners on in every inning.
Got the pitcher Flaherty on deck, but 2 balls and 2 strikes to Munoz. Sends it out to right field. Anderson's got a good arm. Here comes the throw. And it gets by Real Muto. 3-2.
Well, as Brian Anderson accumulates more games in right field, and actually tonight, he's got 33 games out there. It's hard to believe he's been out there that long. He is going to know he's going to be able to pick out those spots. This ball just kind of eats JT up. It turns into a short hop. The ball beats Bader easily. If he goes all the way in the air, and as an outfielder, you got to learn this. It's just such a tough play for a catcher when that ball hits that dirt and it gets on top of him with the velocity. That ball is about 4 feet up the line, meaning back towards, say, Anderson or towards first base. You get the long hop, and then JT's able to come up with that baseball. That's not a mistake. It's just something that you learn as an outfielder over time. The infields are cut differently. The grass is different in different places. You got to kind of prepare yourself for all of that. And as he learns his way around the league, he'll know where those spots are.
Well, I mentioned as they check on Flaherty here, not wonder if this is a contact issue. That might be exactly what that is. So the perfect time to tell you that, again, mention the, Anderson's got a good arm. Well, here are the numbers to back it up. 97.2 miles per hour on that throw.
Yeah. Well, he's got it. And as soon as he learns just a little bit more how to use it, strategically, and again, it's so much of it. And again, I was trained to be an outfielder my entire life from the day I was drafted. Speaking of the draft, you go into the minor league system and you end up in an instructional league, and you do so many of the things that teach you about this. You understand exactly what's happening. He did everything right. He stayed behind it. And it's a tremendous throw, but if that throw is just a little bit lower, it doesn't bounce so far forward. See, and that's essentially it. If he catches up here in the grass, that's spot on the plate, Bader's dead to rights at home. Simply put. But again, you got to learn it, and you got to practice it, and he just has not been afforded the time to get that good at it.
Yeah, as someone who wears contacts myself, this is annoying. True story. Oh, this summer the World Cup is coming to Fox and FS1. Every match live and over 300 hours of coverage. The world's biggest sporting event is just 8 days away, only on Fox and FS1. Tough time getting them back in. And they've got to sit right in your eye. I mean, this is just, I feel his pain. That's really what it boils
this is one
down.
of these conversations where, the person who has the contacts or the glasses feels the sympathy for the person who lost the contact, but everybody else who doesn't wear them is like, let's go.
Well, that's the thing. See, this
Speed
is my
it up.
chance.
Come on.
You've been in the box. You're like, oh, this fastball in. It's so hard to get the barrel. Like, you get to talk your stuff. Now I get to talk mine.
Contacts?
Move out of the way. This is my area of expertise. in there for a called strike. He can't see if it's a ball or a strike, so.
He's hitting 091. What do you want me to do with that?
Whoa! Look out, Matt Carpenter. And then a hot potato down on the bench. Thankfully off the netting. Earlier today, it was in Baltimore, right? It was Manny Machado. I showed you the video before the game. Right. Machado fielded a bat off the netting. As Flaherty comes up empty. Cardinals get one more back. They trail it by a run through 4 here in St. Louis. Southwest, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By the Cleveland Clinic, stiff joints, aches and pains, trust Cleveland Clinic, Florida, the #1 orthopedic care in Florida. And by the Lincoln Spring sales event, drive into spring in a new Lincoln. Back here in St. Louis, a 3-2 Marlins lead as we head to the top of the 5th inning. Marlins took the opener last night. Lead it in the middle innings here tonight, and then the series finale tomorrow afternoon. Marlins live pregame show on the air at 12:30 Eastern time. First pitch a little after 1, and then it's back home to Miami for anniversary weekend starting Friday night against the San Diego Padres. Cardinals have gotten one back in each of their last 2 at-bats to turn a 3-0 deficit into a 3-2 deficit. Eliezer Hernandez and Miles Michaelis, the 2 starting pitchers tomorrow. Castro fouls one off his foot, I believe. 0-2. Castro with a hit and a run scored back in the 3rd inning to stretch his hit streak up to 8 games. Started the day tied for 9th in the National League with 66, now 67 hits. 3rd among National League second basemen at the start of the day. Hit streak is allowing his average to creep a little closer to 300, currently at 289. Flaherty's 0-2. And hold up. That is strikeout number 6.
Let's
go ahead and give you another look. An awful lot about the breaking ball tonight. He did lose it. Kind of lost it at the top of that third inning. We saw the 4 consecutive hits from the Marlins. Sterling Castro knows it, certainly in the scouting report. He's making sure that when he misses with that breaking ball, he's deliberately trying to get it down out of the zone, especially with 2 strikes.
By my count, that's 3 strikeouts on the slider tonight. Been a weapon for Flaherty. Dietrich's weapon, a 2-run home run back in the 3rd inning. Dietrich on one of those runs right now, a little under a hit below a 500 average rather, 461. Chops this one right side and in there for a base hit. His 2nd hit of this ball game.
That was one of those base hits that you talk to as a hitter. As soon as you make contact, you look up and you realize there's a second baseman pursuing it, and you're like, you start talking to the baseball, get away from him, get away from him. So you watch this. All right, so you've hit it hard, you know it's in the hole, but you're like, he's got a shot at it. Ugh. The second hit of the night. There you go. There you go. Now I'm good.
14th multi-hit game this year for Derek Dietrich. Realmuto fouls that one. 0-1. Realmuto hit by a pitch in the 1st inning, doubled and scored in the 3rd. That 3-run 3rd inning. Make of that pickoff move?
What do you mean, the velocity or the
kind of quick? There's something quick about it.
Well, it's quick on the move, but he also throws rockets over there. It's one thing that I kind of keep getting hung up on. I mean, if I'm Martinez over at first, I'm not like I'm throwing dirty looks back out at the mound like,
easy,
okay,
cowboy.
Dude, back off a little bit. That's right.
Next pitch will be his 75th of the night. Of those pitches strikes, but not that one. And it's 1-1. Flaherty, originally a 1st-round draft pick of the St. Louis Cardinals back in 2014 out of Harvard Westlake High School, Studio City, California.
Well, much like his last start against the Pirates, he had 3 earned runs in 5 innings. Didn't walk anybody. Did strike out 5. Took him 102 pitches through those 5 innings. Marlins have been putting together good at bats and driving that pitch count up.
Dirt, blocked by Molina. 2-2. You know, I'd be curious if that high school team that he was on ever lost a game. He was on the same team, high school teammates with Max Fried, who's been up and down this year with the Atlanta Braves, and Lucas Giolito, the Chicago White Sox, who had been with the Washington Nationals for a little while, part of that Adam Eaton trade. 3 guys on the same high school team that have all made it to the major leagues at one point or another. Realmuto out to Ozuna in left. And that is out number 2 as Dietrich retreats to first. Geico presents This Day in Marlins History. Let's take you back to 1993, the inaugural season of the Miami Marlins. Chris Hammond, first Marlins pitcher to homer, hit one off of Doug Brocail in the 4th inning. Also got the win in that ball game, going 7 2/3 innings. Brett Barbery a home run. Trevor Hoffman, his 23rd major league game with the Marlins. Hoffman on his way to the Hall of Fame in July, about a month. Jim Thome, Vlad Guerrero, Chipper Jones, all part of that group. The 0-1 to Bohr. Over the last 30 days in Major League Baseball, nobody has a higher walk percentage than Justin Bohr. He has walked 20.7% of his plate appearances. Led the National League in walks in May. Really exhibited a very good eye at times this year.
Well, he knows what he's searching for. You know the numbers behind it. He loves to get his arms extended, loves fastballs away, middle away, up. Really disciplined himself to the inside part of the plate. Very good at taking borderline pitches.
Overall this season, looking up at Bryce Harper as 47. Yeah, he knows what he's looking for. He'll take the borderline pitch, and we've seen it this year a few times. Like if there's a pitch that, you know, we have our little Fox box that kind of shows where the pitches are, and it looks like a ball and it might be called a strike. It's got like a little Joey Votto to him. Like I know my strike zone more than the home plate umpire does.
It kind of reminds me of more of a smaller, maybe a leadoff hitter type approach in a big man's body. And I watch him kind of go about his business in batting practice, sprays the ball around the field, always starts out in left and works it away, works his way around.
There's another walk. Mike Maddox is going to come out and talk with the starting pitcher, who issues his first walk of this ball game. Also hit a batter, Real Muto, back in the 1st inning. Cue the hand on the shoulder in 3, 2, 1. There it is. That's what he does. It's what Mike Maddox does. Every time he goes out there, hand on the shoulder. You notice that?
Nope. Former teammate of mine. Mike never did put his hand on my shoulder.
Maybe he didn't like you.
Probably would have bit it off. He's a pitcher. Mike, one of the best in the game. Highly coveted. Cardinals went after him this winter and were able to bring him on board.
Time for the Florida Lottery in-game jackpot. Through 60 games, Brian Anderson, 67 hits. Only Alex Gonzalez in 1999 and Dan Ugla in 2006 had more. Hanley on that list. Conine, Mark Kotze back in 1998. This has been one of the more impressive rookie seasons for the Marlins. At the start of play today, as he has another runner in scoring position now, 5th overall in Major League Baseball with a .407 batting average with runners in scoring position, and he adds to it here. At least one will score, and Bohr will stop at 3rd. An RBI double for Brian Anderson, and it's 4-2 Marlins.
Isn't it amazing? How about that meeting? How'd that work out?
I think he said don't give up a double.
to Brian Anderson, who's hitting above 400 with runners in scoring position. Hello, first pitch. Yeah, there you go. He's done it so many times this year. I was just on the verge of talking about it. It's interesting. I was thinking his home run last night. Most people believe he's going to hit for more power. He's not forcing the issue. He's being patient. He's been a line-to-line hitter all season long. Has not gotten away from the approach. Beautiful, beautiful swing. Another run on the board for the Marlins.
Two on, two out for Rojas, who takes a called strike. Well, to finish that thought on Anderson, at the start of play, led all rookies with a .407 batting average with runners in scoring position, 5th in Major League Baseball. But beyond that, among qualified rookies, 1st in runs, 1st in hits, average with runners in scoring position, 1st in on base percentage. As Rojas, slow roller to short, and that pulls Martinez off the bag. Bohr will score. It's 5-2. Munoz had time, but that one just kind of sailed on him a little bit. And even though Martinez, a tall drink of water over there at first base, couldn't keep his foot on the bag.
Well, I got to tell you what. I mean, the second error of the night, Rojas reaches once again on an error. Look at Munoz take his time. Didn't plant his feet, didn't set his throw, didn't do anything to end this inning. Cardinals have got to be frustrated. That's just a lazy play. It's really what it is for the young man. Of course, that goes down as an error. You plant those feet, strong throw across the diamond gets you the result you're looking for. Did the hard part. He picked the baseball. Just didn't finish the play. Well, Marlins say thank you very much and add another tally.
Sam Tuivilala is up for the St. Louis Cardinals in their bullpen. And now Riddle to the gap. That one's going to get down. Bader moves over, makes the play, throws in quickly to third, but another run is in, an RBI single for JT Riddle. It's now 6-2 Miami.
Yeah, this is a tremendous example of adding on and why errors just can't happen at the major league level. You see it right now. It extends your pitcher. He has to make more pitches, and then you've got more pitches leading to more runs. Another breaking ball. I'll tell you what, Marlins came in ready for this game. Well prepared, good at bats, good game plan against Flaherty. Outstanding job so far tonight, and taking full advantage again of another error.
Their second 3-run inning of the game. There's Brinson. Now up to 45 errors. That one a costly one. The Giants with more in the National League.
Puts a great deal of pressure on the rest of your ball club. Continue to make errors. Obviously, you see Flaherty. Now it leads to bullpen activity. Now you're into a bullpen that struggled this year. 25 pitches here in the 5th.
Broken bat out to second base. And the inning is over, but the Marlins put 3 more runs on the board and stretch it to a 4-run lead as we go to the last of the 5th. Marlins in front as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. And road trip wraps up tomorrow with the afternoon series finale against the St. Louis Cardinals. Then it's back home to Miami for a very special 25th anniversary weekend. We've got lots of throwback moments, giveaways. We've got guests like crazy. We'll have a few in the booth throughout the 3-game series. Lots will be around the ballpark. Craig Minervini will be parading around, interviewing folks as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of teal as well. So again, priority for you folks at home, get to the ballpark. If you cannot get to the ballpark, Fox Sports Florida will have you covered every which way. We've got certainly special programming throughout the weekend as well, but also extended pre and post game shows throughout, including Saturday, where there will be a pregame ceremony. Broken bat up the middle. This is Riddle. Carpenter is retired. Pregame ceremony with a lot of returning former Marlins, and then Sunday the softball game before the series finale against the Padres. One out now for Tommy Pham. Singleton scored back in the 3rd. Marlins a 3 spot in the 3rd. They gave single runs back in the bottom of the inning and bottom of the 4th, but tacked on 3 more in the top of this 5th. And now Wei-Yin Chen has a 4-run lead to work with.
That's right. You'll see Chen dial it in, really attack the strike zone, particularly away.
As Drew Rucinski is up. Pitched in the final game of the Arizona Diamondbacks series. That one lined into the netting. A hot shot off the bat at Pham, a ball and 2 strikes. Well, again, to this point, 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th inning. It's been a nice bounce back for Wei-Yin Chen after consecutive starts. 1, which was his longest as a Marlin, and then his most recent start, his shortest as a Marlin, an inning and 2/3. Soft liner just out of the reach of Starlin Castro. 2nd hit of the night for Pham. Time now for your Chevrolet Prospect Spotlight. The Greensboro Grasshoppers, this is more of a big picture thing. They are going to host the South Atlantic League All-Star Game June 19th at First National Bank Field. Their manager Todd Pratt is going to skipper the Northern All-Stars. And I've been around minor league All-Star games in my previous life. AAA All-Star game for what, 6 of them I think I called. Whether it's the big league All-Star game, the AAA All-Star game, that particular All-Star game, it's a special moment when you get that honor to be named as one of the best in whatever league it is that you're playing.
That certainly is a good position to be in. Obviously working your way up through the minor league system. Realize that what you're doing is right and you're getting the good results. I remember throughout most of my minor league journey, I would think about what the next stop was going to look like when I got there, and it was kind of the driving force on a daily basis. When you're in A-ball, you're thinking about AA. When you're in AA, you're thinking about AAA, if that makes any sense.
Then there's the old baseball adage. Obviously, once you get to the big leagues, the old baseball adage is it's hard to get there and it's harder to stay.
That's right. That's always the challenge. In the minor league system, you see different faces along the way, different levels, different leagues. Patterns are different. They don't exist nearly the same. It's really more about talent and whether your swing can play and your athleticism. And you get to the big leagues and it's like one big happy party where everybody plays the same game over and over and over again all season long. You got to figure out how to hit Chen, multiple times in a year.
Pham on first. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Jose Martinez. Takes low. How about this? I was handed this note earlier. Jose Martinez's father, Carlos, was actually the player that hit the home run that went off of Jose Canseco's head back in 1993.
How about that?
Pretty wild. One of the, I guess, one of the funnier bloopers in baseball. You know,
right.
Think of where it all began. Just think of how it ended.
Everybody's familiar with it. Canseco in a Rangers uniform, running back towards the wall. Ball hits him in the head and goes over the wall. Martinez's father credited with a home run.
That played parts of 7 seasons with the White Sox, Indians, and Angels. In fact, Jose, his first career home run, much like his late father, off of the Toronto Blue Jays. Here he works a walk, and there are 2 on and 1 out. Don Mattingly is going to make the call to the bullpen right now.
Don Mattingly does not want to see the lead dissolve. Chen's frustrated. 91 pitches, wants to get through the 5th.
The Florida Lottery call to the bullpen. Drew Rucinski is in. Chen is done, but the Marlins up 6-2. Frustration in the Marlins dugout. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by the Florida Lottery. It's good to have options. That's why the Florida Lottery has 70 unique scratch-off games. So add a little play to your day with these new games. The Florida Lottery, it's your ticket. Claim it. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. So Drew Rucinski is in his 2nd appearance with the Marlins this season. Minor league free agent deal at the end of November in 2017, but called up Sunday morning from AAA New Orleans. His numbers at AAA. His corresponding move to Harlan Garcia being sent down to AAA. Well, now an opportunity here for him to limit, or at least keep the Cardinals off the board. There hasn't been any damage yet to limit, but there are 2 on. First pitch swinging for Ozuna. Chop to 3rd. They get the 1. The return throw not in time.
A tremendous effort by the Marlins defense on the slow roller to the left side. Watch Rojas. They almost pulled this off. Slow roller, quick toss to 2nd. Starlin Castro, nice job getting it out. Even giving the Marlins a chance at turning this.
Yeah, quick. Yep. So 1st and 3rd and 2 out. Here is Yadier Molina. very good numbers in his career. 287, 13 homers, 265 RBIs with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. Pham is over at third right now as half-hearted hack 0-2. He spent last year in the Minnesota organization, a couple of games with the Twins. 37 AAA Rochester.
I'll tell you what, going back to last night, Molina has been off just a little bit. You can tell his timing is, he's definitely uncomfortable in the box. He's chased a few different times against Chen. Get his timing back as quickly as possible. The Marlins certainly like where he's at. He's been off.
He sets up outside, but that one misses upstairs. Ball and 2 strikes.
See him preset split finger. Most have to. That ball wedged in between those fingers. Changes the pitch. He'll change it in his glove like you just saw him do.
Was that to avoid or limit the amount of tipping that may go on?
Well, that's right. So if he puts the ball in the glove, you say, okay, he decides that they want to go to the split finger and they're going to throw it. He'd have to kind of dig for that split finger in his glove. Well, that would be a tell for a hitter. He'd see that, and that would be a tip-off right away. You're absolutely right. So what most who do, most who throw it, they preset the pitch, saying, guess what, I've got it. I may throw it, I may not. So when he puts the ball in his glove, that's when he changes it. See Rucinski stay at the top of the zone. I'll tell you what, Molina has shown a willingness to chase. Chen got him a couple of times up top. One with a slow roller to the left side, once on a strikeout. That's the one real spot where I think Molina is vulnerable right now.
1 ball, 2 strikes. The pitch swung on and missed, strike 3. Rucinski comes in out of the pen, gets a ground out and a strikeout, and keeps the Cardinals at bay. 6-2 lead through 5. Craig, thank you so much. A 6-2 lead for the Marlins as we head to the top of the 6th inning. New pitcher for the Cardinals as Jack Flaherty's night is done. Brett Cecil in for his 12th game of the year as Drew Rucinski, barely in the batter's box, will lead things off. Opponent sitting a little more than 300 against him. Now Rucinski digs in. Uh-oh. Big swing, and now up comes the training staff. He took a big swing and then immediately reached for his left shoulder. That's really not his pitching shoulder, but still looked to be in a decent amount of pain.
Well, no doubt, some sharp pain after the swing. It gets his attention. He drops the bat. The bat was actually in that arm.
Well, he's going to stay in the ball game, thankfully.
Yeah, I think they told him. I bet he's not swinging. There'll be no more of that. You just stand up there. There you go. Whatever happens, happens. Good eye.
Go
ahead, you can laugh.
No, I just, yeah, I think you're right. He's not even thinking about swinging.
Do you think I was making it up?
No, not at all. Called strike 3. All right, time now for the Toyota Inside Look. Let's take a look at how things have gone in the last week or so for the St. Louis Cardinals. The team is 4-3. The ERA is 1.86. That's for the starters. It's because this bullpen has just been a bit of a weak link for the St. Louis Cardinals as of late. That's why you see Mike Matheny sighing over there as he goes to Brett Cecil first out of the pen tonight.
Yeah, it's undeniable. I mean, you look at their numbers even coming into the series. The bullpen is a run and a half worse than the starters. And then you kind of compound it when you wrap up the whole Cardinal story together. And we talked about the errors, and we've seen it factor into this series already. Honestly, you go to the stolen bases. How about this? They haven't thrown an attempted stealer out yet, and they've been caught most in Major League Baseball. So you've got that going for you. You know, you're up there in errors, second in Major League Baseball, and then you throw the bullpen issues into it. Kind of get why they're where they're at.
And now Castro into the gap in right center field. That'll be extra bases. And it's another multi-hit game for Starlin Castro.
A great swing. It's the fastball away and drives it away. That's what so many of these Marlins do. Not big swingers. They don't go yard, pull everything. See the pitch away. They game plan well, and they go with that game plan. Saw a lot last night. Certainly seeing more of it tonight.
Now tied for the team lead. 2 base hits with Brian Anderson, 14 each. There's Derek Dietrich. Now Dietrich.
We've had some very odd foul balls tonight.
We have. I think I have an idea as to what happened there.
I think most people do. Do his best to walk it off. And if anybody can feel his pain, how about Yadi Molina, right?
Quite literally, yeah. A pelvic traumatic hematoma for Yadier Molina caused him to miss about a month.
For all of you who don't know what Paul just said, he took a foul ball into the cup.
Very much. First of all, it was a 102-mile-per-hour pitch from Jordan Hicks that then got foul tipped.
Look at those numbers over the last 6 games. 500 with 2 homers. My goodness.
Ball and a strike to Dietrich with Castro off of second.
It's a good spot for Dietrich. Cecil traditionally has reverse splits. Lefties this season, they're hitting 353.
Again down the left field line. Ozuna gives it a look, but into the seats. Still a ball and 2 strikes. Well, tomorrow's scheduled starter, Eliezer Hernandez, loosening up in the bullpen. That'll be something to follow.
What's that?
Tomorrow's starter throwing in the
getting
bullpen
loose
in the 6th inning. It is a day game tomorrow.
It's early start time. Noon Central, everybody.
Noon local time. A line drive off the glove of Martinez and into right field. Castro around third. He'll score as Dietrich is out at second base. But it's an RBI nonetheless, and the Marlins are up 7-2.
Yeah, and that's what Dietrich's approach was. This a rocket down the right field line once again. He is all over everything. One mistake, there you go, pay the price. That's what you do off the glove. Martinez gets up pretty high as well. Redirected into right field. Dietrich's pursuit around first base. He was thinking 2 all the way, but he also draws the throw. You know what happens when you draw the throw? That means that throw's not going home. That's right. That is the insurance that you like to see. So essentially protecting Sterling Castro, making his way around the bases.
In back-to-back games, the Marlins have put 7 runs on the board against the St. Louis Cardinals. Realmuto doubled and scored back in the 3rd. Once again, the bullpen has been at the center of late runs allowed by the St. Louis Cardinals. Certainly an area of frustration for this club and these fans here in St. Louis as Realmuto shoots one out to deep right field, and that one's off the wall. It goes over the head of Bader, and on his way to third is JT. Here's the throw, and not in time.
Wow. 2 things. Love to see JT running the bases. Boy, he is one of the fastest in the game. What a throw from Bader. I'll give him some props. My goodness. Great swing. Pitch up, away. Drives it off the right field wall. All right, you see Bader makes his way over, and that ball skips over his head. JT reads it perfectly. Does a nice job of not only reading the ball himself. Once the ball passes your own right shoulder where the right fielder's behind you, you pick up your third base coach, and Freddie Gonzalez did a fantastic job there. Freddie waving him on, makes his way over to third. Yeah, this is fun to see. This is his read until it's past him. Now it's Freddie's read. Kind of shorten up that step just a little bit, make sure he hits second.
On at third with his 3rd triple of the year. What was I saying about that speed? That he's got it?
Most athletic catcher in the game. Is that fair?
I totally agree.
All right, then.
See if Bohr can come up with a 2-out hit. He'll have to do so with 2 strikes as well. Here's the pitch from Cecil. Grounded left side and knocked down. We'll see how they score it, but at the end of the day, it's another run for the Marlins. It's 8-2.
Yeah, it's going down as an error. Munoz to the backhand, kicks it. To wait for Carpenter to clear. I don't know if Carpenter presented a distraction to him, but the 3rd error for Munoz tonight. Tough game for the young man.
Marlins aren't going to give any of it back. I'll tell you what. An 8-run night for the Marlins. They lead this one by 6 here in the top of the 6th inning.
Well, I think it was on Sunday I made the statement that sometimes days off just show up at the right time, you know, and I think that this one will be circled on the calendar as a reminder as well. This road trip, my oh boy, I mean, it started off great, first game in San Diego, but things certainly got very disconnected rather quickly. Last 3 games in San Diego, 3 games in Arizona. This Marlins team came to St. Louis limping. They have regrouped, refocused, and have gotten it done since arriving.
Anderson's had himself a nice night. Another couple of hits. Check that 1 hit, but 2 RBIs. As he reached on one of Munoz's 3 errors tonight. Well, we've talked so much about how this season the Marlins are going to have to create their own offense, right? And they're not going to be able to live and die by the 3-run home run like they may have been able to do in the past. Well, part of it tonight is putting the ball in play, making the other team make plays. The Cardinals have shown tonight that they haven't been able to make the plays. And then capitalize on those mistakes. And Don Mattingly has to be happy with what he has seen tonight. 8 runs, 11 hits for the Marlins, 3 errors for the Cardinals. Mike Maddox is out to talk with Brett Cecil, who struck out the first batter he faced this inning. That was Drew Rucinski. But then a double for Castro, a single for Dietrich that brought home a run, a triple for Realmuto. Bohr reached on an error. He moved to second base on the Anderson walk as Preston Guillemette, pitched in last night's ball game, is up right now for the Cardinals. Miguel Rojas takes low.
I think he's had a rough road trip, no doubt about it, with the bat. Certainly looking to kind of get things going. Good opportunity here. A couple of times ago, he grounded into a double play. 4th game in a row, he's grounded into a double play.
Ball and a strike from Cecil. In on the hands, rolled to third, and a high throw, but Martinez able to come down on the bag. Boy, almost saw a 4th Cardinals error. Fortunately for the Redbirds, Martinez tall. Unfortunately, Marlins score a couple more. Tonight, 8-2 the score as they won the game last night, lead the middle game of this three-game series. In the series finale tomorrow afternoon. Drew Rucinski, who got the last 2 outs of the 5th inning in relief of Wei-Yin Chen, is back out there for the 6th. His first pitch to Jed Jerko is outside. Jerko, Bader, and Munoz due up for the Cardinals. Up the middle, Castro, off balance throw, got him.
Oh, get it done, Starlin. How about you? The Marlins definitely feeling good about themselves tonight here in St. Louis. My goodness. All right, a little redirect off the mound there. Backside, really can't get much on it. Only the quick hands and the arm strength. All the way to first on the fly. How about it?
Excellent job for the first out here in the 6th inning. And that is all arm strength right there for Starlin Castro. Now Harrison Bader takes a called strike. Bader doubled and scored back in the 4th inning, grounded out in the 2nd.
FPL is proud to support our first responders in good weather and bad. See how at FPL.com.
0-2 to Bader. Fouls another one off. Bader, a 3rd-round pick of the Cardinals back in 2015 out of the University of Florida. Played the College World Series with Florida back in 2015. The 11th player in school history with 20 or more home runs, 101 RBIs, 30 or more steals. Young man who made his major league debut last July. Called strike 3. mentioned that he was a third-round pick, but speaking of the draft that just wrapped up a little while ago, there is a look there at the Marlins' second-round pick, their 53rd choice overall, or the 53rd choice overall. Again, an up-the-middle talent, Osiris Johnson. Cousin of Jimmy Rollins.
Well, that's where the quick hands came from. I saw that as he was fielding ground balls. We were just showing the beginning of that video, and I thought, boy, this young man's got some quick hands.
Probably where the number 11 came from, too, right?
Now Munoz looking for some form of redemption with the bat. And a tough night on defense.
3 errors. The last Cardinal shortstop with 3 errors in a game, Aledmus Diaz, in May of 2016. 1940, Marty Marion, 4 errors against the Dodgers. And then, of course, there's Ozzie Smith, the Wizard. I still think one of the greatest plays I've ever seen, and he was not with the Cardinals, he was with the Padres, right? It's grainy video, so you can't really tell who he's playing for. But no, it was a hot shot up the middle. It takes like a funky hop. He dives, headlong dive, and then he has to kind of reach back with his hand, right? Like above his hip to make the play. Munoz out to right field. Anderson up against the wall makes the catch. 4 out, number 3. So it's a 1-2-3-6 for Rucinski. Marlins up 8-2.
They don't want to see it started. We just getting started. We just getting started. We the best. We just getting started. Another one. We just getting started. Let's win. Let's go. We the best.
8-2 the score as we go to the top of the 7th inning here in St. Louis. The offense has come to life for the Marlins the last couple of nights. A win last night with 7 runs on the board. They are in control now with 8 runs on the board as Francisco Pena has taken over behind home plate for Yadier Molina. And Preston Guillemette pitching in back-to-back ball games for the Cardinals, called up yesterday from AAA Memphis. 21 games in relief this year at AAA, a sub-1 ERA. Small sample size for those numbers right there, but he'll face JT Riddle, Lewis Brinson, and then see what the Marlins do in the pitcher spot. Riddle an RBI single back in the 5th inning. Marlins have been able to string the hits together tonight. They have also taken advantage of 3 Cardinals errors, all by the shortstop, Jairo Munoz. 8 runs, 11 hits, and they've left 7 men on base. They have had opportunities to add even more. Gilmet in more of a middle relief role here for the Cardinals, but 11 for 12 in save opportunities with Memphis. Was tied for the lead in the Pacific Coast League in saves. So he gets a strikeout of Riddle for the first out in the 7th.
Miami, come check out an East meets West matchup for a weekday battle next Monday through Thursday as the Marlins take on the Giants. It started at only $12. Visit marlins.com/tickets to get yours today. Gilmet traditionally likes to pitch backwards. Not going to blow you away with velocity. About 92 miles an hour on that 4-seam fastball. You see it right there. Goes to the slider a lot more. Use his secondary pitches. Throws a little split finger as well.
See the Padres and the Giants on the next homestand. The San Diego Padres, a 3-1 winner today against the Atlanta Braves, as Brinson drives this one to deep left field. Run for Brinson, and it's 9-2. Eighth homer this year for Brinson.
Beautiful swing, inside fastball, inner third. Great extension, head down. Watch his head, his chin, follow the baseball. Great ball flight. And oh, how about this kid? Get up, Steck. We kind of cut it off there. We're going to show it to you in a second. I anticipated this coming. Here's why. Steck, get up. How about it? First catch of the day. That's right. Well done. Steckosaurus down in the bullpen. Speaking of athletes, Steck, a very good athlete himself.
He wasn't even wearing the glove at first.
Yeah, he was going to catch barehanded. And he thought, well, I better not do that.
Might get in trouble.
Congratulations to Lewis Brinson. That was a beautiful, beautiful swing. Multi-hit effort tonight. Sometimes, Paul, those days just sneak up on you. Not originally in the starting lineup. You want me to get it? I got it. All right. Yeah. I think he looked around like that. It had so much hang time that a few of them were thinking, well, maybe I'll catch it. No, you catch it. All right, I'll get it. Just to finish that thought on Brinson, sometimes a game will sneak up on you like tonight. Shuck a late scratch. Brinson thrown into the lineup with about 20 minutes before the game. A couple of hits, a home run.
Well, again, we talked about this in Arizona. Listen, he's had the struggles. We get it. You can look up at the scoreboard. You can look at the baseball reference page and see where the struggles are. But seeing his batting practices, seeing each of his swings, seeing him, around the ballpark and seeing the attitude that Don Mattingly keeps talking about. But from your perspective, what have you seen from the swings in the last, let's say, week that leads you to believe maybe he's starting to get through this now?
Confidence. Simple as that. I mean, you can look at a swing, and I think you can look at it a lot of different ways. I'm not really, the one to necessarily break down his swing. I think the numbers break down his swing.
Castro down the right field line. It hits that little part of the stands that jut out. Bader plays it there, and for Castro, it's his second double of the game.
Yeah, going the other way once again in a 9-2 ball game here in the 7th inning. 15th double of the season, second tonight. Elevated pitch to his arms extended, just kind of pokes it down the right field line. Beautiful swing once again. Another runner in scoring position for the Marlins. And just back to Brinson. I mean, that's just it. I mean, so much of what happens when you start to struggle is you lose your confidence, you lose your focus on what you know to be right as far as your swing, your mechanics, a lot of things. But I think for Brinson, he's got to believe in himself right now. He's got to get back to whatever process he believes in. Listen, the one thing that every young player's got to know is that whatever it is he's working on, he's got to have conviction for his swing, whether it's 10 people telling him about it or one person telling him about it. Whatever it is, he's got to believe in the process. And if he does, then maybe he'll start to get some of those results. But I'll tell you what, the one thing that really stands out to me here of late is that it seems like he's a little bit more confident again. See that smile once again. There was a long period of time in there where we didn't get to see that pretty smile of his.
Ball and a strike to Dietrich. Who, along with Brinson, has hit a home run in this ball game.
You just look at the Marlins, and even you look around baseball, everybody's got a different swing. There's no perfect swings. Mike Trout doesn't necessarily have a perfect swing. The one thing you realize is, though, they believe in what they're doing. They believe in their swing.
Kind of like Dietrich does now. Jerko makes a nice play. A high throw, though. And Dietrich is in there safely.
Dietz might get his 4th hit of the night. Let's see. Hit that ball pretty hard back through the box. Surprised Jerko was able to get to it. Throws on the run. A little bit of a high throw once again. See it, one hop. Oh. Throw on the run. They are going to, in fact, give him a base hit. 4th hit of the night.
The third, check that, fourth 4-hit game this year for the Marlins. First for Dietrich as JT Realmuto takes outside. Brinson's got one, Castro's got one, JB Shuck in his first as a Marlin, first game as a Marlin, 4 hits, and now Dietrich tonight.
Well, describing the Marlins offense tonight, I think the word relentless comes to mind. Here we are in the 7th inning. It's 9-2. We've got 14 hits. And there's, I mean, I have not seen the sense of anybody giving up anything, like an at-bat where somebody just comes out and maybe they're trying to, swing from the heels a little bit.
This one out to left field, and that one is going to fall in. Another run will come around to score. Dietrich to third on the second double in the game by Realmuto. It is 10-2 Miami. And that is now a new single game high in terms of runs scored.
Well, a little bit fooled on the breaking ball, but the front foot down and the hands back, you've got a fighting chance. And you see JT able to level off right there as that ball kind of crossed right about his thighs. Lined it softly down into the corner. There's Dietrich, always playing hard.
Second and third now for Bohr, who takes a called strike. So again, the 10 runs, a new season high for the Marlins. The 15 hits ties a season high. 3 in the third, 3 in the fifth, 2 in the sixth, 2 more in the 7th. A nice offensive night, and frankly, a nice offensive trip to this point through St. Louis in the first 2 games of this series.
17 runs in 16 innings.
26 hits.
JB a big base hit. 3-run third inning.
One on and miss, strike 3 as Bohr is retired. But the Marlins score a couple more. Brinson connects on a home run to left center field. Steckenrider take home a souvenir. It's 10-2.
We are just days away from the Marlins 25th anniversary celebration at Marlins Park. I'm sure a lot of you have picked up some really cool old school gear. Now make sure that your phone is decked out. Go to the Marlins Twitter account and you can download one of these two backgrounds, either a throwback of Juan Pierre or a collection of memories from the 1997 World Series Championship. It's the last one before this weekend's festivities, so make sure you download it now. Guys, this weekend at Marlins Park is going to be so much fun.
It absolutely will be. Cannot wait for it. It all comes your way starting on Friday night as Drew Rucinski continues to pitch. Oh, wait, oh, look at that. I was not ready. Just trying to get his one button too short here.
Starting early.
I'm Todd Hollandsworth for the hour. Look at that.
Like it.
You look good in that.
Thanks. It's a nice hat. Pretty happy to wear it. I'm going to wear it for the rest of the night.
Are you really?
Fits really well.
I would. I don't want to mess up my hair.
Well, it is 90+ degrees here in St. Louis.
It's toasty.
And I've got a shirt and tie on. I'm sweating, so maybe it'll keep it, do what it's supposed to do, keep the sweat up top.
Really? Seriously? Yeah. You have two fans currently pointed at you right now.
Well, that's true.
If there's two fans up here and they are both pointed at you, I have a riddle for you. Who's not getting any of the fan?
No answers.
This guy.
The rookie. That's right.
No, I'm a rookie of the year. Todd Hollandsworth. You see?
Well.
Come on now.
All right.
Goodness gracious. Jeez. Unbelievable.
No respect, right?
None. Every time
Sit next to Rodney Dangerfield over here.
Leave the room, I ask, oh, you want a cup of coffee? You want a cookie? What do you need, buddy?
No.
I'm going to run and grab dinner. You want something? What do I get? No fans.
Oh, you are hilarious.
This one on the ground to second. As Castro over to first to retire Pena, who gets the at-bat after coming in defensively for Yadier Molina.
I'll tell you what, Rucinski's looked good. He's attacked the strike zone. He's done a very nice job at keeping the flow of the game going, and obviously for the Marlins, just that. A big reason why Chen was taken out of this ball game was, in fact, a little bit of a wobble, if you call it that, in the fifth inning.
Matt Carpenter takes upstairs. Well, the final line on Chen, 4 1/3, 6 hits, couple of runs, couple of walks, couple of strikeouts. But again, when he left the game, it was certainly a lot tighter than it is right now. And he left a little frustrated with himself, but, or maybe the decision. Again, we'll probably find out after the game exactly why he was so upset when he was taken out of the ball game. But in a general sense, how do you think he fared tonight?
Well, I thought he was okay. I mean, I don't necessarily think he was great. I mean, great was 2 starts ago. I mean, that was outstanding. 7 1/3 innings, took complete control of the game through strikes, attacked the strike zone, used his secondary pitch as well. Listen, he had runners on in every inning. Do you think the Marlins are in a position now where they're lending themselves to? But yeah, we're trying to get him a win in the 5th inning of a 6-2 ball game in which you've put runners on in every inning and you've wiggled out. I threw the phrase out a couple of different times. It's exactly what he did. He made some pitches with runners in scoring position and got himself out of those jams. Now, do you trust it a 3rd time as you make your way through the lineup? I think that's exactly it. The Marlins have just scored once again. I think the idea is there, trying to win a baseball game. I absolutely think that was the right move. You're not waiting for traffic or trouble to start. You're not waiting till you've got runners on 2nd and 3rd. Now the score is 6-4.
To Carpenter. Oh, and then to that end, Rucinski comes in out of the pen, gets the ground ball, fielder's choice, to get out number 2, and then he strikes out Yadier Molina. Then he worked a 1-2-3 6th inning, and he has retired the first batter faced here in the 7th.
Well, wouldn't you argue? I mean, even if you go back to his last start, that's exactly what happened in San Diego. I mean, you gave evidence that there's a possible implosion coming based on your inability to throw strikes.
This one out to left center field, a long run for Brinson, and he will play it off the wall. Another double for Matt Carpenter.
Double of the season, that leads the Cardinals.
Tyler Cloyd up now for the Marlins in their pen. Tommy Pham offers it the first pitch out to right center field. It's Anderson, and here's the arm. Carpenter will advance on the fly ball to right field, 2 away. Jose Martinez, who has a couple of hits in this one.
Yeah, on base all night long. Put together the best swings for the Cardinals.
Well, I looked it up because I wanted to get the quote right, but to finish the point on Wei Yin Chen, you said a quick implosion. Don Mattingly quoted earlier this month saying, when the air comes out of the balloon, it comes out fast. So, between Juan Nieves and Don Mattingly, nobody's got a better sense of what's going on with the club and with their pitchers in a given game than they do. So he saw what was going on, made the right decision to go to Rucinski. As I mentioned, got the last 2 outs of that inning. Has kept the Cardinals where they're at. Marlins have tacked on and now in terrific position to take the first 2 games of this series.
Don Mattingly, trust me, he's not looking to dive back into his bullpen. I mean, what do we know? Marlins bullpen has struggled this year. He's got a game. I mean, this is merely just recognizing the situation for what it's worth. Be willing to bet that if Chen hadn't put himself in that position, he would have stayed in the game.
Rucinski up to 35 pitches out of the pen. Done a nice job through his 2 1/3 to this point.
I'll tell you what, good signs about that left shoulder. I was really concerned for him after that first swing. I mean, that usually looked like a little bit of a dislocation or something like that. Just a real awkward swing, but he was able to stay in the ball game. Continue on to this point quite effectively.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that the worst case scenario would be what happened to Michael Conforto last year, right? With the New York Mets, when he swung, dislocated his shoulder, a torn posterior capsule.
Oh, we saw Jacob deGrom do it a little earlier this year as well. I mean, just an awkward swing.
Fortunately, none the worse for the wear. Still out there in the 7th inning. This is upstairs to Martinez. The count runs full. Bugs continue to swirl around. My goodness, it's very buggy. Had to kill some small birds up in the booth tonight. First trip to St. Louis. Is this normal this time of year?
What do you got?
These bugs? All these look at these birds. Yeah, it looked like snow flurries.
I told you about them. Saw them last night coming in. My way into St. Louis, and yeah, the lights were on. The game was over last night. Yeah, they were everywhere. It's the Midwest, pal.
Right field, and that will fall in for a base hit. An RBI single for Jose Martinez. His 3rd hit of the night and 2nd RBI. Cardinals now down 10-3. And Don Mattingly is going to come out, talk with the home plate umpire, Pat Hoberg, and in all likelihood make a double switch. I see J.B. Shuck emerging from the dugout. Tyler Cloyd getting set to come out of the bullpen. Like Shuck is going to go to left. Dietrich out of the game. A nice job by Rucinski. Florida Lottery call to the bullpen with the Marlins up by 7. Rucinski can leave with a smile on his face, even though he just allowed a run and has a runner aboard. But a nice job out of the bullpen. A double switch. J.B. Shuck is in left field, having to deal with the bugs now. And Tyler Cloyd is on the mound. 7th game for Cloyd. Was up as the long man. Went back down to the minor leagues for a couple of weeks and is back up. In his last 2 outings with the Marlins, one on the 17th of May and one on the 2nd of June. A lot better than the previous outings. He was asked to just kind of eat up outs in games that had gotten away from the club. Face Marcell Ozuna here with 1 on and 2 out in the 7th.
Marlins have done a nice job of reeling Ozuna in tonight. Big first game of this series. Former teammate swinging a hot bat.
Luke Voigt is out in the on-deck circle. Will hit in what is now the pitcher spot after a double switch. As Cloyd gets Ozuna, the inning is over. The Cardinals get 1, but still trail this one by 7 as we head to the top of the 8th in a buggy St. Louis. All right, Craig, thanks so much. 10 runs, 15 hits tonight for the Miami Marlins. Again, the 10 runs, a new season high. The 15 hits tied for a season best. And still a couple of innings to add to both columns as Luke Voigt takes over. And John Brebbia is on the mound in his 14th game this season. Brian Anderson digs in and takes a look at a pitch outside. Anderson has had himself a nice day. Struck out in the 2nd inning, but it's got progressively better from there. Reached on a fielder's choice in the 3rd, an RBI double in the 5th, a walk in the 6th. He's reached base 3 times tonight. For a called strike.
Grevy has been throwing the ball well. 3 times out, scoreless. Fastball slider. This is Arsenal. Close hard, 94-95.
Anderson, deep drive. Just enough room down the right field line for Harrison Bader to put that away for the first out. Time now for our Toyota Trend. Of course, the draft wrapping up earlier today. Been a lot of crossover athletes, if you will, big leaguers that went on to have, well, looking at these names, decent football careers as quarterbacks, right? I think Elway was okay. Marino was all right. Brady, I think Brady's won a game or 2 in the postseason, something like that. I lose track after like 60, but yeah. That, of course, all because there was that 2-sport athlete from Oklahoma.
Russell Wilson still kind of keeps up with his baseball game, if you will.
That's right.
He's just in spring training this year.
With the Yankees.
Yeah, that's right. Well, John Elway drafted twice. Kind of liked it back in the day. I know that there's in the rules to, when it comes to the draft. What are there, 40 rounds now? 45? How many rounds are there?
There's a lot. I was just looking up.
There's a specific number now, isn't there?
I think there is, yeah.
I believe it's 40.
Let's see.
Okay, well, back in the day when I played, it was infinity.
It's 40. You're right.
It is 40. Okay, so infinity's way better because it means the draft just never ends.
Infinity's more than 40.
You could actually pick up the phone like 3 days from now and say, "Are you done?" No, I'm still working on that last pick in the 65th round. We'll let you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine it. Can you imagine how that?
Go ahead.
Imagine how that conference call went.
You have unlimited minutes.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it was like never ending.
Yeah, Kyler Murray was the baseball player / football player at Oklahoma. He's drafted by the Oakland A's, 9th overall. Of course, the Marlins again went with Connor Scott, number 13 overall. We will ask Gary Denbo, the VP of Player Development and Scouting, tomorrow, not just about Connor Scott, but about how the entire first-year player draft went for the Marlins. Again, a lot of time and effort from a lot of hardworking folks around the country for the Marlins organization, for all the organizations. It's almost like when the GMs or presidents of baseball operations now turn the attention from the draft to the trade deadline. This is kind of like where things kind of turn a little bit. That's why you don't see a lot of trades, those folks that are not paying super close attention to the draft are think, well, why isn't Manny Machado been traded from Baltimore? We start trying to make all these trades and everything else, but it's like GMs are kind of more focused on the draft up until right about now.
Right.
And now you've heard thoughts about the ability to possibly trade draft picks. Where do you stand on that?
Well, that's a good one. I'm not sure where I stand on it. Really hadn't put too much thought into it. Really good question. You're right. They do it in other sports. Happens all the time. I don't know. I mean, I would have to think about it longer, but my initial reaction to even the question itself is just really, it's a simple one. Because there's so much unpredictability in our sport, I know that we, tend to believe, which, listen, first rounders are, the closest thing to a sure bet, but yet we still don't know. It's not like other sports where there's clear-cut number ones who are going to impact your major roster, your major league roster, your NBA roster, your NFL roster right away.
Back liner looking. Jerko had to play that one, and a little extra mustard on that one. Took a right-hand turn on him, barehands it. Throws out Rojas for the second out.
Yeah, Rojas doing everything in his power to go the other way. You see him trying to work out of a slump, trying to see the baseball, kind of really committed to going the other way. It's jammed just a little bit, short, quick swing. Obviously some nasty spin on that baseball. Jerko makes the throw over to first. I personally, I don't see why it would be that big of a deal. Now, I'm sure that there is a reason why it's a big deal. I just don't know what it is. You know what I mean? It's like one of those conversations that I really haven't put a whole lot of thought into. But based on just the idea that, you know, still drafting the way that it is, we say, oh, it's so important to draft well in the first round.
Yeah.
But you just don't know. It's like you and I were just talking about it. We looked at the top guys and we're like, yeah, these guys look really, really good. And I think every team around baseball says the exact same thing we say.
Right.
But we won't know the answer for most of these guys for about 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you don't get that immediacy that
right.
you get from the other sports.
And that's the point. That's where I think it's, you know, clearly more significant in the NBA. If I trade you a #1 pick, I let you move up to the 3rd spot, and you take somebody who you know is going to be your starting center or your starting quarterback. You're like, okay, now we're talking about something here.
Yeah.
So in our sport, is it different? You know, to me, I don't see why that would be an issue, but I'm sure there's a reason.
And even in the NFL, it's changed in the last, what, 3, 4, 5, 6 years about quarterbacks, right? It used to be like, well, you get a quarterback and you don't even think about seeing him on the field for 3 years. And now it's like, well, they're drafting him and he's going to learn the playbook and he's going to start in week 1.
Might as well start the journey now.
Well, again, we'll get into all of that with Gary Denbo tomorrow. Knocked down by Voigt and flips to Brevia. And JT Riddle is retired. So 1, 2, 3, 8. Marlins up a touchdown.
Video with hashtag Hats Off for Heroes. For each post, T-Mobile will donate $1 to support veterans.
Back here in St. Louis, it's a 10-3 lead for the Marlins as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Tyler Cloyd, who struck out Marcell Ozuna for the last out of the 7th, is back out for the 8th. His first pitch to Luke Voigt, who came in as part of a double switch. This is outside, a ball and no strikes. Second season for Luke Voigt with the St. Louis Cardinals, a 22nd round pick by the Redbirds back in 2013. Couple of home runs against the Marlins last year, was 5 for 17. Now sends this one out to shallow right field where Anderson is there for the first out of the 8th.
Boyd got our attention last year with his power and went up into big back land this season. St. Louis.
Jed Jerko swings at the first pitch and out to right. Anderson again, 2-away. Again, last of a 3-game set tomorrow afternoon. Quick turnaround, as it will be a first pitch a little after noon local time. There's Harrison Bader. My apologies to Christopher, by the way. It's a Twitter Wednesday. He says, hello, I finally got my wife into baseball, and she has all sorts of questions, some of which I honestly don't always have the answer to. I also just want to see how fast you guys can answer. Clearly not fast enough, because that's been in my inbox for a little while. As Cloyd gets the strikeout to end it. Christopher did not provide any questions. He just wanted to see if we were listening, and we are. 10-3 Marlins lead. Impact Week. Going to local schools and some Fox Sports Florida personnel there as well, taking over the school, the lunchroom, doing some stuff within the community. So a very great thing that the Marlins did earlier this week, and perhaps it can have as positive an impact as Jed Jerko will as he eats up this last inning. As Lewis Brinson sends one out to deep left center field, and Brinson's got his second homer of the game.
Hey, you take them when you can get them. That's right. Don't care who they're off of. They all count the same. 9th home run of the season, second tonight.
Another multi-home run game for Lewis Brinson. And a strike to J.B. Shuck. That is his second. First Marlin with 2 multi-home run games this year. A deep breath and a smile. Those have been unfortunately few and far between for Brinson this year as Shuck sends one out to Ozuna for the first out. Another look at the home run.
Well-tied fastball. Too hard, about 80-82. You know what? You still got to level off. You still got to drive it out. Nice job right there for home run number 2. Big night for the young man. Third hit.
First professional pitching appearance for Jed Jerko. And a base hit for Castro, who rounds and heads towards second. And another double. That's now 3
in a row.
This ball game for Castro.
Yeah, 3 in a row. 4th hit of the game. Nice job leading off. 3 runs scored tonight. Well, I've got to believe that. Somebody look it up. Does Cloyd have a base hit in his career? I mean, he's got to love this matchup, right?
Well, this is for bragging rights, right? In a way.
I mean, this is just fantastic. I mean, if in fact he could somehow get his first big league hit here, you got the pitcher with the bat in the hand and the player on the mound. This is fantastic.
Takes upstairs. 3 balls and no strikes.
Dare I say good eye or swing the bat? I'm not sure.
No, good eye. Absolutely good eye. No, he's got 3 career hits.
All right.
Yeah. He had 1 in 2012 with the Phillies.
Yeah, that's what I
and
figured.
2 the following year. He's even got a double.
Oh,
there's Munoz, who has committed 3 errors tonight and takes a hit away from Tyler Cloyd. This game is not fair, Todd.
Well, it's not fair for Cloyd. That was a fantastic play by Munoz. Part of my heart's with him a little bit. He's had a rough night, the young man. He just made a pretty nice play. Good swing of the bat by Cloyd. How about it?
They all count the same.
Well, there's been a lot to enjoy tonight for the Marlins offensively. 11 runs as they continue to add to a season best. The 17 hits, a new season best, as JT Realmuto is hit by the pitch.
Second time tonight. JT on 5 times tonight as well.
Well, if you go back to April 7th, that's when Brian Holiday pitched for the Marlins. He went 1-2-3 and struck out Rhys Hoskins, the at the time hot hitting Marlin killer Rhys Hoskins. Jed Jerko works through this frame, gets a pat on the back, but he did give up a home run. He'll keep the ball. Multi-home run night for Brinson, 11-3. transparency, low fares, nothing to hide by Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center, in pursuit of your cure, and by your South Florida Honda dealers. The shadows of the Gateway Arch. The Marlins are in control after a victory in the opener of the series last night. They are up 11-3 going to the bottom of the 9th inning tonight. As Tyler Cloyd back out there to pitch. Came in the 7th inning. Finished things off. He's got an inning and a third under his belt. And he will face Munoz and then Pena and Carpenter. 8-9-1 for the Cardinals. First pitch swinging to Castro at second. All right, so you see Meyer, who's called up today, and you see Eliezer Hernandez, who is up for the 2nd time tonight. You're thinking, okay, that's big deal. Well, he's slated to start tomorrow.
Just getting a little work, Paul. That's all I'm telling you, man.
Seems a little late with a noon start. That's all I'm saying. So we'll
get your private eye hat on. Is that what you got going on?
We've got to get to the bottom of this. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to do any work. I'm going to have other people do it, like Jessica Blaylock, who will be anchoring the WB Mason postgame show coming up, and perhaps there will be an explanation. Jessica will be here from the studio, and Craig Minervini and Jeff Nelson back in the studio in Florida. They will have the answers. I will do no more work. Popped up and into the seats. That'll be one of the things that is going to be asked of Don Mattingly, I'm sure. There'll be good things to say about Derek Dietrich and his 4-hit game. Nice things to say about Starlin Castro and his 3 doubles tonight, as Cloyd has 3 strikeouts.
Watch every out-of-market regular season game live at home, in the office, or on the go with MLB.tv. Your subscription includes MLB At Bat Premium, allowing you to watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackouts and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details.
Last hope for the Cardinals is Matt Carpenter, who takes ball 1. Carpenter doubled and scored back in the 7th inning. Marlins scored 3 in the 3rd inning, 3 in the 5th, 2 in the 6th, and 2 in the 7th. They have had a ton of base runners in this ball game. 11 runs, 17 hits, and still 11 men left on base as Carpenter sends this one out to center field. Brinson closing in. And the guy who hits 2 home runs in the ball game gobbles up the last out of the night, as the Marlins have taken the first 2 games of this 3-game series. They have won the series. They will go for the sweep tomorrow afternoon here in St. Louis. A big offensive night for the Marlins as they win this one 11-3. Marlins Live post-game show coming up after the break. Jessica Blaylock live from the field. For Todd and our crew, I'm Paul Severino saying